We are live at Rooney Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and this is Northeast Conference football on ESPN3. Today, it's the Robert Morris Colonials taking on the Duquesne Dukes in the Steel City Showdown. Hi again, everybody. I'm Paul Dottino, along with former Giants quarterback Scott Brunner. Glad you could join us for NEC football. Now, you know, these two teams have gone through some personnel issues this year, but the rivalry takes precedence over everything. Scott, it's going to be a good one today.
Well, rivalries in college football are really special, and with Duquesne and Robert Morris, you have the Battle of the Berg heating up here today.
All right, we got a couple of really good players for you to watch. It is Devin Romming, the wide receiver for Duquesne, first up.
Well, Devin Romming is only 3 catches short of a single-season record for Duquesne. Now, he's going to really be an important factor today in today's game because the number 1 receiver for Duquesne, Chris King, is out with an injury. On the other side of the ball, you've got Eddie Island. The two most lonely places in football are the cornerback position and the punt returner. Well, Antoine Eddy is great at both. 7 career interceptions. Last year, he led the NCAA in punt returns. He's going to be called upon to make some big plays for Robert Morris.
Coming up, it's a battle to take control of the Steel City. And who will own the 10th Street Bridge? We'll take a timeout and be back with the opening kickoff. Standing room only. Even the birds can't come in. NEC football is coming your way next. Northeast Conference football is brought to you by Choice Hotels International, the official hotel partner of the NEC. Welcome back to rainy Pittsburgh, and the guy downstairs, John Schmelk, knows all about getting wet and cold. John, let's go down to you.
Well, guys, the rain has dissipated to a little bit of a drizzle, and they hope it's going to clear up by the end of the game. These two teams this year have been ravaged by injuries. First, for home Duquesne. They lost their 2 starting inside linebackers to start the year, including third-team All-American Christian Kuntz and All-NEC preseason selection Aaron Reed. Then they had an injury to their quarterback. Dylan Beagle, who's supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, broke a rib. It was an injury so rare. It's the highest rib near his throwing shoulder. The hospital here had to send out to other doctors to see if anybody else had that injury in a sports situation. And now today they lose their top target, Chris King, who's out with a knee injury. As for Robert Morris, they've had 27 first-time starters this year. They're on to their 4th or 5th running back. They're on to their 4th quarterback. It's been an absolute mess. Before the season, these two teams were expected to be 2 of the best teams in the NEC. But as coaches say, and as both John Banaszak and Jerry Schmidt said to me before the game, a lot of times it's not the best team that wins the conference, it's the healthiest. And for the last 2 years, it has been Sacred Heart. That's why they've been NEC champions, guys.
Thanks so much, John. It is 35 degrees under that freezing drizzle. A beautiful day for football. Duquesne has won the toss. They will defer and defend the goal to our left. They are wearing their home red jerseys. There you get a look at Coach John Banaszak. He's in his first season at the helm of the Colonials. He was an assistant to the retired Joe Walton for 11 years and has 3 Super Bowl rings. Duquesne coach Jerry Schmidt's in his 10th year with the Dukes, who are in their 7th year in the NEC. Now remember, Jerry was here prior, so in total, that's 15 years with the program. Well, rivalry games, we talked about it up top, Scott. That's what it's all about. Teams know each other so well. You got people all around the Pittsburgh area who get recruited by both schools. There's a lot of passion involved.
Yeah, exactly. Western Pennsylvania is football rich at the high school level. Great tradition, great players, and both teams are looking to get their share of that talent. And this is a big part of that. Whoever wins this game has bragging rights for the rest of the year, especially in the recruiting wars.
It'll be Austin Crimmins to tee the ball up for the Dukes. Back deep, Warren Fields for the Robert Morris Colonials. Robert Morris, losers of 3 straight, 1-9 overall. Duquesne, losers of 3 straight as well, 5-6 overall. But again, throw the records out the window today. This will be one of the up men from the 25 across the 30 to the 35 for Robert Morris. That is Luke Santofanti. And it's first down for Marcus Prather, who will be at quarterback. He is a junior at 6'2", 195 out of Weirton, West Virginia. Now, Prather on the season, they've had 4 different quarterbacks for the Colonials, as you heard John explain the injury situation. His stats, well, not very much. And inexperience could be a factor today, in fact, for both teams with their quarterback, Scott.
No, absolutely. It's a tough game, a tough year. Robert Morris offensively has been rather anemic. They've only generated about 245 yards a game offense. So they're looking for a spark anywhere they can get it.
That's Forrest Barnes, number 39, the fullback who was in motion. So they run Prather directly up the middle, and he gains about 5. We'll call it 2nd and 5 from the 45. Our Geico starting lineups include Geico's, and check it out, Prather is down on the field, and this is something that the Colonials did not want to see. Before we get to our Geico starting lineups, as we were momentarily going to do, they've had Marcus Prather, they've had Joe Carroll, they've had Derek Abbott, they've had Luke Brumbaugh. 4 different quarterbacks have taken snaps for Robert Morris this year. Prather is the guy who they really wanted to get 4 quarters out of today, Scott. As we talked to Coach Banaszak during the week, he said, well, I really don't want to have to pull him. I hope he can give me the full load. And right now, he's already down on the first play. A running play up the middle, which may or may not. Well, he'll have to come out for one play for sure. That much we know.
Yeah, absolutely. He took a huge hit from the free safety, Chris Johnson, on the play. And Prather, it looks like he just got the wind knocked out of him. Hopefully that's all it is. And if he can get up and get onto the sideline, he should be able to recover quickly. We'll wait for an official diagnosis on the situation. But John Banaszak, he's hoping to get 4 quarters out of him, and he doesn't even get 1 play out of this quarterback.
Prather for the season with 12 carries and 16 yards. He is a guy who's big, again, 6'2", 195. He's got some wheels. He does like to run around. You see Coach Banaszak coming out saying, hey, you okay? You okay? Hey, kid, I need you. I need you. And so Prather heads to the far sideline under his own power. Number 12, Joe Carroll, will come in out of Jeff Hills, Pennsylvania. And he's also a big guy at 6'3", 195. His numbers, 4 of 9 for 12 yards with 1 interception. He has played in 3 games so far this year.
Looks like Luke Brumbaugh's in there.
Yeah, number 12, Carroll's going back to the bench, and Brumbaugh's going to come in. Now,
Brumbaugh started the season.
He did, and he suffered a knee injury early on, and that was the end of him. Here comes Forrest Barnes as he gains 1. So it's going to be 3rd and 4 for the Colonials here on the opening drive. You get a look at Brumbaugh's numbers, had that nice game against Eastern Kentucky. But again, it was a knee injury that forced him out, and we were told, quite frankly, it was unlikely he'd be available today. But he suited up, and he's in the ball game.
He's there. He's looking to get some action, and he has experience, so he's a good option.
Over the middle, that pass is intercepted. Coming back the other way, it is Sam Martello, and he will go down to the 5-yard line. Martello, the junior linebacker out of Westlake, Ohio, comes up with his first pick of the season.
Well, Brumbaugh gets in there, obviously not loosened up enough, and just throws it right into the coverage to Duquesne, and the first big break for the day goes Duquesne's way.
Robert Morris with 19 thrown picks this year, last in the conference. They were now a -18 on turnover ratio.
Yeah, and you just see Brumbaugh trying to squeeze one in there into a tight window. Martello does a great job reading the quarterback's eyes and just steps in front of the receiver. What a big break for Duquesne.
It is a 42-yard return, and Michael Lopresti, the junior out of Fairfax, Virginia, comes out to call signals. He was a quarterback, then converted to wide receiver, now a quarterback again. This is Ryan Ho. Around the left side, maybe a foot or so, but nothing more there. We'll get a look at Lopresti's very modest biography. And as you see, he had a decent game against Bryant, but not much time. Once again, converted to receiver and now back to huddling up behind center.
And, you know, Lopresti obviously switched over from a different position earlier in the year, and now he's trying to just fill the void left by Dylan Beekle, who was the starting quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the conference.
Yeah, Beekle had thrown for over 2,000 yards this season, but he's already missed 3.5 games because of injury. To the right corner for Neil Oduho. Did he hold it? Touchdown! It is a 4-yard touchdown pass from Lopresti to Neil Oduho, his 3rd touchdown grab of the season, and Duquesne converts the turnover into 6 points.
You know, it's just man-on-man out there with Drew Allen, the cornerback, number 16. Oduho does a good job getting separation, and Lopresti lays it right out there where he can make the grab.
Austin Crimmins to attempt the extra point out of the hold of Lopresti. Whistles on the play. Andrew Keenan is our referee.
Snap, false start. Number 94 offense, 5-yard penalty, retry.
Jake Radzukinas called for the penalty. And so Crimmins, who is 32 out of 35 on PATs this year, will have to try one 5 yards longer from the 15. And he's got it. So Duquesne opens up with a 7-0 lead. Duquesne, by the way, now even in turnover ratio for the season. That was their 14th pick as a team that they were able to convert into the opening score. Duquesne's on top, 7-0. Fans, you can now follow the Northeast Conference on all your favorite social networking sites at NEC Sports. Get exclusive content and interact with the NEC on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Google+. Also, be sure to check out the NEC's official website at northeastconference.org The website features all the latest news and notes from around the league, as well as a link to the NEC's official web store, northeastconference.org. Paul Dottino, Scott Bruner, and John Schmelk with you in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where Duquesne converts an early turnover into 7 points, and that's always a good way to start a game if you're the team that scored.
No, absolutely. You know, turnovers are a big part of this game, and when you can really turn the tide of the momentum in the field, you know, it was all set up really by that initial hit out there by the safety, Chris Johnson from Duquesne. Really set the tone of the game early. You could see that Duquesne defense was fired up and ready to play.
Knocking starting quarterback Marcus Prather out of the game. You got a look there momentarily ago by Warren Fields, number 25, kickoff returner, who awaits the boot from Austin Crimmins. He's a busy man already today. Less than 2 minutes in, it's his second kickoff of the afternoon. Low line drive kick, swiveling, and it goes out of bounds for a penalty. I don't care if it's college or the pros. Head coaches hate to see that kickoff go out of bounds.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things. It's a simple thing. The ball sitting up
Kickoff
there in
out
the
of
tee.
bounds against Duquesne. 5 rule, first and 10 at the 35.
You know, sitting up on the tee, how tough could that be, you think? But, you know, when you're trying to directional kick, that's when it can get away from you sometimes.
Scott, I guess Marcus Prather is a real tough guy because after getting knocked out of the game on the first carry of the afternoon, he's back in there. Hands off to Forrest Barnes, and the sophomore out of Cranberry Township, PA, rumbles forward for maybe a yard. Let's get a look at our Geico starting lineups. Today's starting lineups are brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Nick Lemica, a converted linebacker, now playing wide receiver for this team. John Hill, very solid right tackle.
And the injury woes continue.
We come right back to play, and we notice that one of the Duquesne Dukes is now shaken up. We'll have to get the number. It looks like it could be Driscoll, Dane O'Driscoll, number 90, junior out of Hudson, Ohio, 6'3", 260. He's the left defensive end. Let's go down for an injury report with Dr. John Schmelk.
Well, I don't have anything on this injury, but on the injury on the previous possession, you guys already mentioned Marcus Prather back into the ball game. The trainers barely looked at him when he got to the sidelines, and then he was simply throwing warm-up passes after Duquesne had that football. So I think Dr. Bruner was correct, and he just got the wind knocked out of him on that big hit.
Okay, John, thank you.
Yeah, I've had a few of those in my life. Not in a long time, though.
2nd down and 9. The flare goes to Lemica out to the 38. Gain of just a couple. It'll be 3rd and long. Let's look at this Duquesne defense. Now, O'Driscoll just got knocked out of the game momentarily. We'll see if he can come back shortly. Zidian at 325 pounds up front. He's a big guy. Martello already has a pick today.
And Nathan Stone, he's a horse here.
And Chris Johnson had a big play to open the day, the senior, out of Ocala, Florida. Prather on 3rd and 7. He's going deep. He wants Lemica. Incomplete.
And Lamica's holding his head because he knows that's one he should have caught. Great throw that time by Prather. Lamica wide open going to the post. You're going to see getting behind the defense. There's Chris Johnson, number 4, chasing, and Malik Shagag at the cornerback. And you saw Lamica beat both of them to the post.
They're going to call it 4th down and 8. So here comes Tony Lamancusa to punt. Leads the NEC in punting this year at 35.7 yards per attempt. Back deep, number 7, Devin Romming. And he is a good one. Nice kick by Lamancusa. Romming retreats inside his own 20. Fields it cleanly to the 25. Has one blocker to the 30. Reverses his field. And then is thrown backwards for a loss. Gerald Ferguson made the tackle. It's a 7-yard return. And Romming is a good return man. That is a nice job by the Colonials to bottle him up.
You know, as we talked about in the opening, Romming, just a great all-purpose performer. Number 4 in the conference, clocks in at about 145 yards of all-purpose offensive game. You know, that means not only receiving, but he does a great job in the kick return game, too.
Duquesne's Adam Clapton, a sophomore defensive back, shaken up on the special teams play. So already 3 different players in today's game have been shaken up. We'll check the out-of-town scoreboard for you momentarily as Wagner and Bryant are underway. The Seahawks with an early lead. Bryant still looking for a potential at-large bid to the NCAA playoffs. The winner of that game will be the co-NEC champion, although they will not get a playoff bid. In the meantime, on first down from the 28, Romming takes the handoff, as he's been apt to do. That's the 11th time this year they've handed it to the wide receiver on a running play, and he is thrown backwards for a 5-yard loss.
Yeah, you know, they're trying to get the ball into some playmakers' hands. Devin Romming's one of those guys. Robert Morris defense, good job reading that, not getting sucked in on the fake, and taking him down for a nice loss.
They'll call it a loss of 6, so 2nd and 16 for Lopresti. He's going to keep the ball off the fake handoff to Ho. Turns the right corner, penalty marker along the far side of the field. Drew Allen, the cornerback, came up to make the hit as Lopresti nearly got back some of that running yardage. But we're going to check on this penalty. It was away from the play, Scott, on the other side. As the officials confer, Duquesne, 3rd in the conference this year, averaging 27 points a game. Robert Morris last in the league at 11 a game. Let's get the call.
There is no foul for a face mask on the field. It's 3rd down.
Okay.
I guess so. So Lopresti takes the ball back out to the 26, where it is 3rd down and 12. Sub-package for the Colonials.
You know, you mentioned that both these teams have really had problems scoring of late, the last 3 weeks in particular. Duquesne, who's really lit it up in the first 3 games of the season, or the first 8 games of the season, was averaging over 35 points a game, and they've been down to about 20 points a game over the last 3 weeks.
Well, again, when starting quarterback Dylan Beekle went out with injury, that was a huge blow to them. And blowing up the play in the backfield is number 92, Ryan Lewis. As Lopresti, well, I guess we're going to call that a sack. It was kind of an ugly or weak sack, but it will do.
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to set up just a quarterback draw with Lopresti, predetermined run. He ran into his offensive lineman, Ben Huss, on the play, and that allowed Lewis to jump in there and take him down for another loss
of 6 yards. So 4th down at 18. Patrick Dill, averaging 35.5 yards per punt, is in there. And, of course, Antoine Eddy back deep for Robert Morris, one of the most dangerous returners in the country, from his own 36. Here's Eddy with a juke. And a return of about 12. 43-yard punt. And Eddy is bottled up. That was number 2, Wayne Capers, on the tackle. It is Robert Morris football, but they're down 7-0.
Knowing what you want to do in life depends on the direction you find. At Duquesne University, every world-shaping experience and perspective-changing breakthrough lead in one direction only: higher. where you'll take charge of your future because you've taken a smarter path, where you'll stand out from the competition because you stand up for what you believe. This is where you'll prepare for something greater, discover something bigger, and where you'll become exactly the kind of person the world has been waiting for. Duquesne University.
Paul Dottino, Scott Bruder, and John Schmelk back in Pittsburgh. Duquesne leads Robert Morris 7-0. Now up in Rhode Island, Bryant and Wagner are going at it. The Seahawks with a 7-0 lead, but this is a huge game because the winner is the co-NEC champion, although Sacred Heart is going to the NCAAs for the second year in a row. But Bryant is hoping for an at-large bid. Scott, there are 13 of them, and look at this resume.
Yeah, I mean, they have a great resume. You know, they can have a great argument if they win this game against Wagner. 11 teams get automatic bids. We know Sacred Heart is the automatic bid right now from the NEC conference, and then 13 teams are eligible for at-large bids. So Brian is hoping that that selection committee counts them among that 13 if they can pull off the win against Wagner today.
Robert Morris first down from its own 47. They're going to keep it on the ground here and get a 4-yard pickup. That's Maine. Check it, Barnes. Second down and about, they're going to call it a gain of only 3, so 2nd and 7 from the 50. Want to mention Liberty, you know, the only non-conference loss for Bryant. They're playing number 1 Coastal Carolina today, so a win by Liberty would enhance the Bryant resume. Anyway, back to throw. Penalty markers all over the place. Prather's got time, unloads, tip ball, incomplete. That was Lamica once again who had his hands on it, but we will have to check out the infraction. Looks like it'll be against Robert Morris.
I think they didn't have enough men on the line of scrimmage.
Well, that's not a good way to protect your quarterback.
Go formation, 5 men in the backfield, offense, penalties decline, 3rd down.
So it will be 3rd down and 7 for the Colonials. Just to go back over what we were talking about with Bryant, 8 Division I wins. Bucknell was 2nd place in the Patriot League coming into the weekend. They knocked the Bison off. They also beat 2 Colonial schools in Stony Brook and Maine. So Bryant Bulldogs, if they can pull off that win against Wagner today, they're going to have a strong case for a playoff bid. Prather back to pass. Now he's getting pressured, rolls, and just throws it away. And there's a late penalty marker from the near sideline that came flying in. Was Eric Main holding in the backfield?
Yeah, it was either a holding or it was a cut. Looks like it's going to be a holding against Eric Main, which will be declined, and Robert Morris is going to be forced in a putting situation.
That'll be declined.
Holding. Number 37 offense. Penalty will be declined. 4th down.
It was the running back, Eric Main. And, you know, I can't blame the Colonials for any of those kinds of infractions today. When you've been through 4 quarterbacks, you'll do anything to protect him.
But that's the one thing that they're very good at. Robert Morris doesn't get a lot of penalties. It's the one thing that they're very good at. The other thing that we should be aware of today is Robert Morris they'll put some trick plays into the
they
mix.
will.
So we'll keep our eyes open for some fake punts and some reverses as the game goes on.
Tony Lemoncusa, a gorgeous punt on 4th and 7. Bounces down and takes a Duquesne hop and will be down just at about the 20. So with 8:55 to go in the first quarter, it is a 7-0 Duquesne lead after a 30-yard punt. Lemoncusa, you know, very good directional punter, but that time he went down the middle of the field.
Yeah, well, I think he was feeling pressure off the right side. I think he kind of abandoned the directional punt to the right because he saw that pressure coming from the right and just tried to get it down the field.
You get a look at Michael Lepresti, number 15, if you're joining us late. Once again, starting quarterback Dylan Beekle, who's missed almost half the season for the Dukes, unavailable today. Ryan Egolf would be Lepresti's backup should he be unable to go the whole 4. Lepresti's going to run this thing around the right end. He's got a lot of room and a blocker. Out to the 40, to the 45, and hit from behind near midfield. Lepresti with a 31-yard scamper.
You just see that inside handoff on the read option. Nobody accounts for it. You're going to see right in here. Even our cameraman was faked out on that one. Such a good fake on the inside. And Lepresti pulls it out, gets downfield. You can see number 50 running him down from behind. That's
Gerald
Gerald Ferguson.
Yeah.
And, he was the guy responsible for blowing up the quarterback on that one.
Lepresti back to throw on first down. He's got time, he rolls, he tucks it away, and he's run out of bounds at the 42. That's a pickup of 7, second down and 3. Jake Tack, number 58, was in pursuit, inside linebacker. That senior out of West Mifflin, Pennsylvania, leads this Colonials defense in tackles with 77 stops.
It's very interesting, the strategy here for Duquesne. Normally a 3 wide receiver kind of spread the field offense, but with Chris King out, they've really gone to the 2 tight end kind of H-back approach and kind of pounding a little bit with a quarterback in the running game.
Here's the handoff from Marcus Hughes. Has room around the right side to the 30, to the 25, and run out of bounds near the 20-yard line. Again, Drew Allen, number 16, was over there, as was number 18, Anthony Smygiera. It's a 22-yard burst.
And just another option off of that spread option. Look, this time, the handoff to the halfback takes it up to out the right side, and Hughes just finds a gaping hole off that right side and right down into Robert Morris territory.
Hughes on the season, 64 carries for 271 yards and 2 touchdowns. First down from the Robert Morris 20. Lepresti looks end zone. There's contact and a penalty marker. Drew Allen had tied up Dave Thomas along the right sideline.
Yeah, it was just a little hook and go kind of play. Allen faked out completely, had nothing to do but grab.
Pass interference. Number 16 defense, automatic first down.
Had to grab Thomas on that one. Otherwise, it would have been a short touchdown.
Speaking of touchdowns, again, Chris King not playing today with a knee injury with 68 receptions, 1,127 yards, 6th in the nation, and tied for 2nd in the country with 14 touchdown grabs. This is where they'd like to have him, right here on the game right now. Lepresti at quarterback on 1st and goal. Fires the slant. There was more contact, but a penalty marker in the backfield. Ryan Richards, number 19, turns around and looks at the ref. We'll see if he gets flagged for the infraction. Devin Romming, I believe, was the intended receiver who ran into
Personal
traffic.
foul, roughing the passer, number 11 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Mike Stokovic, inside linebacker, senior out of Katy, Texas, called for the penalty. He's got 75 stops this season.
You're going to see right here, the throw comes in and just gave that little extra oomph at the end, and that's what the officials are calling.
So it is 1st and goal from the 5. Lepresti looks and just throws it away. He wanted tight end Kevin Enright. Enright threw his hands up as if he was getting held by Stokovic, but the officials were not biting.
And I think Lepresti, he came out looking for something quick. When it wasn't there, he just launched that one out of the back of the end zone. I think that was part of the reason the official just kept the flag in his pocket.
Chavez Rollins, number 3, is to the left, and Romming is to the right. Looks like there's motion along the defensive front. Penalty flags all over the place. They'll have to redo 2nd down.
Encroachment, number 99 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal, 2nd down.
That is sophomore lineman Max Onyenwe at 6'1", 300 pounds out of Washington, D.C. with 26 tackles this season. Marcus Hughes, number 9, is the running back. Out of the gun, low snap. Hughes with the ball. Hog-tied down near the 1. It'll be 3rd and goal. Smygiera was in on the stop. Also Jimmy Masson, number 31.
You're going to just see hole wide open. See Ferguson right there, number 50, coming in from his backside linebacker position, makes the initial hit. And then there's a slew of other Colonials there to clean it up before Hughes could get into the end zone.
Yeah,
and now we have another Robert Morris player down on the field. Looks like Ferguson, who made the hit.
Yeah, he was in on that tackle. Onyenwe, number 99, also making contact. Ferguson getting some help off the field. That's the fourth player who has had to come out of the game already today, Scott, and we are with 6:56 left in the first quarter. It has been a very physical rivalry type of game. And why not? It's the battle for the bird. The Steel City Showdown right here at Duquesne University. Rooney Field, you got to love the way they set this thing up right in the middle of the campus here in downtown Pittsburgh. I mean, it is really boxed in. You talk about a cozy environment.
Yeah, well, you don't see many stadiums where they have pads on the locker room because the locker room is literally, 4 or 5 yards from the end line.
Almost like a basketball arena, fumbling the football and then falling on it in the backfield is Wayne Capers. So Duquesne short-circuited on their attempt to take it into the end zone.
And, they just try something a little bit fancy here, going with Capers in there at the wildcat positions. When you're a receiver like that, you want to get going before the snap gets back, and that time Capers going to the right. The snap was a little to his left. Couldn't haul it in.
Austin Crimmins to attempt a 23-yard field goal out of the hold of the quarterback, Michael Lepresti. It's a straight-on kick. Crimmins 11 of 18 on field goals this year. And he's got it. So with 5:58 to play in the first quarter, it is Duquesne 10 and Robert Morris nothing. It's cold and chilly in Pittsburgh, but things are warming up on the Duquesne sideline.
We were there to bring nursing care to some desperate people.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
That's where I met David and his trumpet, his most prized possession. I get back home and learn someone stole it. So next trip back, we gave him a new one. The look on his face said he'd never forget us.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
As part of its commitment to good sportsmanship, the NEC continues to participate in the NCAA's Respect Campaign, a program designed to enhance the awareness of sportsmanship, both on campus and within the community. Respect, it's the name of the game. So Scott, Duquesne's able to drive the ball downfield, but then they couldn't punch it in. And so Robert Morris is able to hold them to 3 points.
Yeah, that's just a tough situation here for Robert Morris as he got players going down, but Duquesne did a great job of getting the ball down the field. Now, kickoff hits the guy on the front line, and the kicker recovers it. So Duquesne's got the ball at midfield.
Austin Crimmins alertly falling on the pigskin. And the Dukes will have it once again on the heels of their second score of the day.
You don't see that very often.
First down, Duquesne from its own 42, and let's get a look at it. hit him in the helmet.
Yep.
That was number 35, Shane McFarland, a freshman defensive back out of Hillsville, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, McFarland there on the front line, not expecting the ball to be coming at him. And
I hope he doesn't have a concussion.
I don't know if Crimmins was even trying to kick it there. I think he kind of shanked it a little bit, shanked it right into McFarland.
The way everybody's been getting hurt in this game this morning. Michael Lepresti once again back at the controls. The give is to number 2, Wayne Capers, as he turns the left corner, and he's got himself 8 yards to midfield. Let's go downstairs to John.
Well, all-star freshman linebacker Gerald Ferguson had to check out of the game on that last drive, and it looks like he's going to be out of the game for a bit. It looked like they were doing concussion tests to him on the sideline. He's still sitting on the bench with no helmet. Talking to John Banaszak before the year, he thought he was an all-NEC Rookie of the Year on defense selection. So if he can't get back in, if he does in fact have a concussion, that would be a big loss for Robert Morris.
Thank you very much, John. 2nd down and 2 from midfield for Michael Lepresti. Here comes the blitz. Ryan Ho runs through it to the 40, 35, 30, 25, and knocked out of bounds near the 20-yard line. Ho with a big dash down the left sideline. It goes for 27 yards. Anthony Smygiera was over there to push him out.
Yeah, you know, Ho knows this is the last game he's going to play here at Duquesne and takes advantage of that gaping hole off the left side. You see the quickness and the speed that Ho possesses. Gets downfield once again. Duquesne knocking at the Robert Morris door.
Ryan Richards was also in pursuit. 1st down at the 23 of Robert Morris. Ho coming in 92 carries for 372 yards. Again, gets the 2nd straight call, and he runs it down near the sticks. I think it's going to be good enough for a 1st and goal inside the 11.
They're just pounding that left side behind the offensive tackle, Dan Buchholz. You see right there, the offensive yards, rushing yards, 93 for Duquesne. You know, normally Duquesne, a throwing type of offense, just chewing up that Robert Morris defensive front.
Duquesne number 1 in the NEC at 262 passing yards per game. Ho's the lone setback, gets the call. They're trying to set up a wall, and he's thrown backwards for a loss of 1. 2nd and goal from the 11. That's Stakovic, the inside linebacker, been very active so far today.
You just saw Stakovic right there reading very well. Just a really solid performer for Robert Morris on defense. Number 2 in tackles on the year. Has 75 total tackles. And you can see he reads things very well from that inside linebacker position.
Grew up in a football family. His father, Mike, was a star at the University of Cincinnati. Lepresti looking, flares it out. There's Ho on the screen pass, breaks a tackle, and then fights his way forward down to the 3. That's a gain of 8. But it's going to bring up 4th and goal.
You know, when you have a quarterback who's a little bit inexperienced, not running your wide-out attack, a good way to get him acclimated is to throw a lot of screen passes. And that's what Duquesne does right there, just setting up a simple screen pass out to the right. It's kind of an extension of your running game, even though it is part of your passing game, and Ho makes a nice run on that one.
So the Dukes will forego the field goal attempt. They are 5 of 12 on 4th down opportunities so far this season. 4th and goal from the 3. The pass is intercepted, and coming back the other way will be the Colonials. To the 20, to the 30, to the 40, penalty marker on the play, to midfield. Into Duquesne territory, and Anthony Smygiera with his 4th interception of the season. Check it, Drew Allen bailing out that Colonials D.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to have a block in the back here at midfield, so that one's going to come back. But big interception there by Allen. They've been picking on Allen all day, and this time he comes up big.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 19, the return team. 10-yard penalty enforced to spot a foul. 1st down.
Allen number 16, Smygiera number 18, and it is 16 who comes up with the pick.
Boy, and what an interception there. You see he goes up with one hand, really watches it in there, and has all kinds of room up the right sideline. Good job there by number 60, Buchholz, just kind of turning it back inside, and then Larson Graham, number 62, makes the tackle.
So Robert Morris with pretty good field position despite the penalty. 1st and 10 from their own 35. Prather ducks his head and fights his way forward for a couple.
You know, on the film review, Allen's going to hear it a little bit because, like I said, 2 offensive linemen were the guys who basically took him down. As a quarterback, you don't want to be accused of being run down by 2 offensive linemen.
2nd down and 8 for the Colonials. Motion off the play action. Quick pass, complete to Dwayne Mitchell. And that is a catch now in 33 straight games for the senior receiver out of Monroe Falls, Ohio. That is a school record. And for Mitchell, his 48th reception of the season. He has been quite a young man. What a terrific player for Robert Morris.
Yeah, he's had a wonderful year so far. And you can just see what the problems for Robert Morris are. A simple slant play right there. And you saw Mitchell had to make a great catch on what should have been an easy pitch and catch on a slant. So just not quite the skill level at the quarterback position that you need to be competitive and consistently competitive.
On 3rd down and 2, Prather is awfully close to moving the sticks. I think he's about 6 inches short.
Yep, he's definitely short. Has to get across that 30 or 45-yard line, and he's about a foot short.
It's going to be 4th down. Back to Mitchell, coming in 47 catches for 453 yards and 4 touchdowns. Last year, he set a Robert Morris single-season record by catching 52 passes. And the Colonials have elected to bring on the punting unit. But again, that doesn't mean they're going to punt.
No, and you know, they talked it over. They're going to have to hurry. They're down to about 7 seconds, and they're going to call timeout. You know, just a little confusion on the sideline as to what they wanted
Robert
to do.
Morris, they're first.
Coach John Banaszak is not happy. Looks like he's pretty upset at the officials as well. Maybe he didn't like the spot.
I'm sure he didn't like the spot. he didn't want to have to make that decision on 4th down.
So if the Colonials do in fact punt, they'll be giving the ball up probably deep into Duke's territory. Lamancusa is one of the good punters in this league. He should be able to pin them down deep. Only with 2 touchbacks this season in 68 punts. So he knows how to keep that ball inside the numbers, or should I say inside the sidelines in the coffin corner. Coach Banaszak.
Oh, talking about a guy who's competitive and has won in his life.
He's a tough guy.
Yeah.
That's impressive, huh? 3 Super Bowl championships with the Steelers. A Marine. Played in the USFL after his days with the Steelers. On 4th and inches, Lamancusa gets into it. Low line drive. Roming's going to let it bounce and roll all the way down to the 13. First down for the Dukes with 1:18 to go in the first quarter. They're on top of Robert Morris, 10-0. Lepresti will come back out onto the field. He's thrown 1 touchdown pass today to Noel Oduho. The Dukes also getting a field goal out of Austin Crimmins for the 10 points that they've been able to put on the board. The Oduho touchdown catch, by the way, came after a turnover. It was an interception by linebacker Sam Martello.
Well, but this Duquesne offense has just been in high gear all this whole first half so far, as they've gone right down the field the last couple of times, only have been able to come away with 3 points as a result of it.
Out of the gun, up the middle, they keep it on the ground this time. That is Rafiq Douglas. He's got himself a Duquesne first down after a gain of about 12 out to the 26. Douglas is a freshman, 6 feet, 204 pounds, out of Los Bay, Maryland, coming in 87 carries for 353 yards.
And you talk to Jerry Smith, or Schmidt, and he really thinks this young man could be special someday. You know, like you said, has 350 yards on the season, and you know, you can just see the dominance right there of Duquesne in this game so far. Robert Morris yet to put up a first down.
Keeping it on the ground. After the first down carry by Douglas, they go back to him again for a gain of 4. 2nd and 6 from the 30. 109 rushing yards so far today for the Dukes. They'll get one more playoff before the end of the period.
You know, they do it by running back by committee, really. 4 running backs for Duquesne have really contributed this year when you look at it. Ho, Douglas, Hughes, and Clarity of the 4 horsemen of the Duquesne backfield.
Enright, the tight end, in motion, and in the backfield, that was Jimmy Masson, the linebacker, on the blitz, tying up Douglas for a loss of a couple, and that'll be the final play of the first quarter. Yeah, Coach Schmidt was saying, hey, just because we're running backs by committee doesn't mean we can't run the ball. Each of my 4 guys is averaging at least 4 yards a carry.
Yeah, they're effective. They don't rely on it as a huge part of their offense, but today they certainly are. And with the cold, wet weather here in Pittsburgh, they're being very effective so far.
Not everybody can have a Jerome Bettis. Well, the Duquesne Dukes getting off to a good start. They lead the Battle of the Birds 10-0. Paul Tito, Scott Bruder, and John Schmelk in Pittsburgh, the shadow of the old U.S. Steel building, now the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. Those people getting a real nice look from up top. Let's go downstairs to the field level where John Schmelk's standing by.
Yeah, Paul, this by far is one of my favorite campuses to visit in the Northeast Conference. It's right in the middle of downtown. No better place to have the battle for Pittsburgh. It's right off the Monongahela River. That's right on this side of the field. It's a very cozy environment. But if there's any place that you'd want to play a football game in Pittsburgh, of course, maybe besides Heinz Field, it's here. It's right in the middle of the city, and it's really just a great feel and a great environment to play a football game here at Duquesne. Guys?
Thank you, John. Stay warm and stay dry. 3rd and 8 for Duquesne from their own 28. Lepresti getting pressured, and he's sacked. We'll give credit to Ryan Lewis, who will pick up his 2nd sack of the day. Masson was also back there.
And you're going to see Lewis coming in there from one side, 31, Mason coming from the other side. You combine them together, and it equals a sack on Lepresti.
And for the 2nd time today, the Colonials get to the quarterback, and so Patrick Dill back to punt, and Antoine Eddy on the Colonial side of the 50 to receive.
Well, they don't want to give it to Eddy, do they?
Nah, Dill just kicked that thing directly out of bounds. In fact, I think he was trying to kick it to Coach Banaszak. He figured he's not going to be able to return it.
I thought he was kicking it up there to the medical center because that's the direction that the kick was going.
Where will they spot the ball? It was a line drive into the Robert Morris bench. It's going to be placed at the 49 of the Colonials. That's their best field position of the day, Scott.
Yeah, and they've had a tough day so far. A lot of things have gone against them, but down 10-0. All they need to do is put one drive together, and they're right back in this thing.
Yeah, the Colonials have yet to get a first down. 2nd quarter score: Wagner leads Bryant 7-0. and a battle that will determine the Eddie C's co-champion this season. Sacred Heart's already won the title, and they will be going to the NCAAs. Bryant is playing for an at-large bid that may be possible with a win today. That would give them 9 Division I wins. Not as far as Barnes on the carry, and a gain of 7, 2nd and 3 from the 44.
Yeah, over the years, I can't imagine many teams being left out of the NCAA tournament with 9 Division I wins. So Bryant really needs to strap it up here and come back to put some points on the board if they want to have a chance to get in the tournament.
Prather on the roll and run out of bounds in front of the Colonials bench. He's going to be awfully close to the first down. Looks like they're going to spot him right at the sticks, and they'll move the chains. Gain of 3 for Prather. As Coach Banaszak looking on. I'm sure he's screaming to his offensive line, hey, make sure you protect that quarterback. If he's going to run, you get him some blockers out there. First down of the day for Robert Morris. And they're going to run it again. Why not? Prather. Oh, he's upended. Nice play by Anthony Alimenti. There is a penalty marker on the play. The linebacker out of Churchill, PA, he's a sophomore with limited action this season, was able to submarine the quarterback.
Illegal block below the waist. Number 8 offense. 15-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Nick Lamica gets called for it.
Yeah, that's a tough call because Lamica all the way on the right side of the formation, the ball going to the left. To make a block like that and have a penalty like that is just inexcusable at this level.
So the Colonials march backwards into their own territory. The ball will be spotted at the Robert Morris 44. It is now 1st and 25. Prather looks long downfield. He wants Lamica. Double coverage. Incomplete. Devin Williams was back there, number 6. He's the one who actually broke it up. Lamica with 28 catches for 350 yards and 2 touchdowns this season. Again, after being converted from linebacker. Earlier this year, he had 34 tackles and half a sack on defense.
Yeah, I mean, he's a tough, athletic kid. Coach Banaszak thought he could use his athleticism on the defensive side, but when injuries started taking its toll on the Colonials, he knew he had to reach across the line and bring Lamica back on offense.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 52 offense. 5 yards, second down.
That would be left tackle Anthony Lucian. So march the Colonials back 5 more. And this penalty-riddled drive.
Yeah, you're looking at 2nd and 30.
It's not going very well, is it?
You got any plays for this situation?
They've already nullified, in effect, their only first down of the day. Marcus Prather out of the gun. He's going to tuck it away and runs directly up the middle into traffic. Looked like he ran into his own offensive lineman, number 71, John Hill, who was trying to stand up one of the Dukes defensively. That was number 94, Jake Radzukinas. Sophomore out of Upper St. Clair, Pennsylvania, with 52 tackles this year.
Yeah, you see Radzukinas coming in from the left side of your screen, just fighting through the block of that left tackle. That's Lucian again. So Lucian got the penalty the play before and got beat on the block, which took down Prather.
No gain. 3rd and 30. Here comes the blitz. Long down the right sideline. Centofanti is there. Incomplete coverage by Devin Williams. And so it's 4th down, and the Colonials will have to punt.
Well, we know Prather can air it out. He's thrown a couple of good deep balls, giving his receivers a chance to make plays, but Robert Morris just unable to come down with any of those Hail Mary throws that Prather has been putting up there.
Lamancusa back into the game to punt. Prather now 2 of 7 for 7 yards today. Romaine to receive the kick inside his own 25. Short but high kick. Takes a Colonials bounce, and Roming fields it and is immediately spilled. Ryan Richards, the first one down there on special teams. No return. Duquesne has the football at a 10-point lead. Paul Tatino, Scott Bruner, and John Schmelk in Pittsburgh, where Duquesne leads Robert Morris 10-0 early in the second quarter. You can now follow your favorite team on NEC Front Row, the official online digital network of the Northeast Conference, with one-click access to live HD webcasts, highlight packages, coaches shows, full game archives, and interactive social media components. This state-of-the-art site is your one-stop shop for everything NEC. Best of all, NEC Front Row content is free. Whether at home or viewing on your mobile device, enjoy the best seat in the house at NECFrontRow.com. Northeast Conference football with you on ESPN3. Duquesne first down from its own 20 with that 10-0 lead. They'll keep it on the ground. Ryan Ho had a couple of nice carries in the first quarter. This one goes for 5. And for Ho, that's now 5 carries for 44 yards.
Yeah, when Duquesne just keeps on relying on that running attack, you see Stokovic, number 11, he's in there on the tackle. He's a very active force in the middle of that Robert Morris defense.
That's 6'2", 220 pounds. Here comes the blitz. Penalty marker on the play. Looked like the Colonials may have jumped off sides. And a terrific catch made by Devin Roming. I do believe this penalty is going to go against the Colonials. That means Roming's 25-yard grab would be in the books. And, of course, it's a Duke's first down.
Offside. Number 9 defense. Penalties decline. Result of the play, first down.
That's the call. For Roming, that's his second catch of the day, and he's got 71 on the season. One short of the all-time Duquesne Dukes single-season record. Lopresti out of the gun. Ho in the backfield, motion by the tight end Enright. And Ho runs directly into the chest of Max Onyene, a 300-pound sophomore who was not about to let him go any further.
No, you're going to run into a 300-pound guy like that, and you know Ho's not a big guy to start with. He's only clocking in at 5'7", 190 pounds. So he's not going very far.
Gain of 1. Well, maybe 2. Second down and a long 8. Just inside Colonials territory. They show blitz. Here they come. Ho tries to turn it around the corner, and he is dragged down. Nice stop by number 56, Austin Turkovic. Turkovic, 48 stops on the season, 6'3", 260 pounds, junior defensive end. Got a couple of sacks on the season as well. Out of Youngstown, Ohio. No gain, 3rd down and 8 for Duquesne as Lopresti checks the signals from the near sideline. And offensive coordinator Gary Dunn, who calls the plays for head coach Jerry Schmidt. Lopresti on the quarterback keep, turns the left corner, took a shot down to the 46, gain of only a couple. To some degree, these coaches are playing Russian roulette, having these quarterbacks run, Scott. I mean, haven't they had enough of them already knocked out this season?
Yeah, I think that's their strength. These guys are, bigger guys who, aren't really suited for throwing the ball down the field that well. So they're trying to play to their strengths, and both of them are excellent athletes and good runners of the football. So coaches are trying to call plays where they can be successful.
Lopresti, 6 carries for 29 yards. On 4th and 6, Patrick Dill to punt. Antoinetti lets it bounce, and that turns out to be a mistake as the Dukes are able to down the ball at the Robert Morris 5. A 41-yard kick. And with 9:11 to go, Robert Morris has the ball down by 10. Back here in Pittsburgh, Duquesne leads Robert Morris 10-0. Bunch of award candidates in the NEC this year. It's been a great season. Kahari Dixon, the running back for St. Francis, with 1,600-plus rushing yards, is leading the nation in running. We've seen him before, Scott. Very impressive running back. Yeah, very, very tough, hard-nosed running back, and it just suits the personality of that St. Francis team, who really wants to get after it. One of the other NEC stars, third among FCS freshman Nathan Stone. Look at the tackles per game. He's up for the Jerry Rice Award as the FCS Player of the Year, the Rookie of the Year. Check that. One of the many awards. Even Marty Fine of Bryant looking for a potential at-large bid, up for the possible Coach of the Year award. And we have the Colonials taking it to the ground on a first down carry after that sensational punt by Patrick Dill. This is Eric Main, who turns it upfield to the 9-yard line for a gain of 4, 2nd down and 6. Been tough going for the Colonials. Only 1 first down so far in this game. They'll keep it back on the ground. And again, that Duquesne defense is swarming on Maine. He gains only 1. We'll make it 3rd and 5.
Yeah, when you're one-dimensional as an offense, it really allows the defense to stack the line of scrimmage. And you see Duquesne really stacking the line of scrimmage with that front 7 and shutting down Robert Morris's running attack.
Total yards for the day, Robert Morris only with 37. Prather out of the gun on 3rd and 5. Looking far down the right sideline. There was contact on the play. Now, Dwayne Mitchell came up with the catch, and they will give him the completion to the 37. So it's a 27-yard pickup as Mitchell's able to haul it in.
Yeah, you see him out there just man-to-man on Nick Floyd, number 24. The ball kind of gets up there, fluttering a little bit. Turns out to be an underthrown ball. And you see Mitchell doing a good job adjusting.
First down carry. There's Prather again. Gains a couple as he turns the corner. I'll tell you what, that Duquesne defense is fired up. You saw number 54, Nathan Stone, right in the middle of it, like he usually is.
Yeah, it looks like John Hill, right tackle.
Number 71.
Little shaken up there in the play. 71, you see him limping off the field.
That's the 5th time today we've seen a player have to come out for a play. I want to go back to those award winners. The Eddie Robinson Award, the Coach of the Year Award, as we were saying. Marty Fine of Bryant is up for it. Stone up for the Jerry Rice Award, the Rookie of the Year in the FCS. The Buck Buchanan Defensive Player of the Year Award, that's also Bryant, defensive end Jeff Kovitz. We've seen him play before, Scott. He's a good one.
He's a beast.
Rob Holloman, the running back out of Central Connecticut, he and Dixon are battling for the Walter Payton Player of the Year Award. And Holloman himself with over 3,600 career rushing yards and the first Central player to have 3 1,000-yard rushing seasons. The completion to Mitchell, that's going to go for 5, and Alimenti made the hit.
You know, good strategy, trying to get the ball in the hands of some of your playmakers. And, you know, Dwayne Mitchell, one of the top playmakers on this Robert Morris team. You just got to find ways, you got to invent ways to get the ball into his hands.
Going to bring up a 3rd and 3. Prather has Eric Main in the backfield. Here comes the blitz, the roll, the pass a bit high. That was Centofonte who tried to make a one-handed grab, but he just couldn't reach it.
Yeah, thrown high, got pressure from the inside linebacker. Martello on the play. You're going to see 48 coming from his inside position. Kind of forces Prather to get rid of the ball a little bit early, and it sails high and wide.
Devin Williams in coverage. 4th and 3. So Lamancusa into punt. And Romming back deep. Out-of-town scoreboard, Bryant misses a field goal at the end of the first half, and they still trail Wagner 7-0 at the break. Oh, what a kick by Lamancusa. That's a beauty. Bounces down inside the 20, rolls inside the 15, and the Colonials will down the ball inside the 13-yard line. Mike Stokovic was over there to finally kill it after a 43-yard punt, no return. Remember, that Bryant-Wagner game has a lot of implications, Scott. It means you'll have a co-champion in the NEC with Sacred Heart, and although the Pioneers already have locked up their second straight NCAA bid, a Bryant victory, although they're down 7-0 right now, would put them squarely in the middle of a potential at-large bid. Remember, it is tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern Time that on ESPNU they will have the NCAA FCS selection show.
Well, it's always a fun time, a stressful time for coaches and athletes, that show. I've been through it before when you sit there as a group and you're just hoping your name comes up if you're one of those at-large teams.
Marcus Hughes on first down from the Duquesne 13. Gains 6 out to the 19-yard line. 2nd down and 4. This would be the first time in NEC history, if they're able to get an at-large bid out of Bryant, that the conference has had 2 NCAA playoff teams. You remember last year, Sacred Heart gave Fordham a devil of a time over at Rose Hill. Keshada Spence ran for $190 in that ball game and a couple of touchdowns. Keeping it on the ground to Marcus Hughes, and he gains maybe 1. So that'll be 3rd and 4 for Duquesne. Nice tackle by Stokovic.
You know, when you look at the record for the conference so far this year, the record for the conference against other conferences, arguably some of the quote-unquote power conferences, has been very impressive, coming up with some big wins against the Patriot League, some big wins against the CAA. So the NEC is moving right up the ranks.
In fact, the NEC 5-2 against colonial teams this season. That is certainly a great litmus test. Ryan Richards was in coverage as the pass was intended for Devin Romming, incomplete, And on 4th down, Duquesne has to punt. Coach Banaszak liking the way his defense was very stout on that series.
Well, he loves his defense, you know. He has that defensive mentality. I'm sure he would love to just play defense and pound the football, you know, but in today's game, sometimes you have to air it out a little bit, and you got to get people off your back with the passing game.
So on 4th and 4, Duquesne will be forced to punt. That is Austin Crimmins. Penalty marker on the play. Antoine Eddy gets out of one tackler and then cannot elude the rest of that Duquesne special teams unit. It was a 36-yard punt and a return of about 6 for Eddy by the time he was able to spin out of it. But let's get a look at this penalty back at the line of scrimmage. Kevin Enright, the Duke's tight end, says it's on Robert Morris.
Number 48 defense. The 5-yard penalty. Result, first down.
Eddy is right. Joseph Oatafe, backup linebacker, called for the offsides. And so since the Dukes only needed 4 yards to move the chains, they've got themselves a new set of downs.
They sure do. You know, big mistake once again by Robert Morris. Something, as we said earlier, they're not really prone to doing. They don't get a lot of penalties, and you see Coach Banaszak there really upset at that one because he knows he's a disciplined guy. He's coached this team not to have penalties, not to give away opportunities, and right there they gave away a big one by giving Duquesne a free first down.
Frustration building on that Colonial sideline as Lepresti out of the gun's going to keep it off the fake handoff, or at least it looked like it, although Marcus Hughes may have been the intended ball carrier. Lepresti has to tuck it down and falls back to the line of scrimmage. Forrest Mason was there to make the tackle. Mason's had a really good career for Robert Morris, although this year the senior has only 29 tackles. He has been a good one over the course of his time at the school.
Yeah, you see Mason there on the inside, and also Stokovich, number 11, coming in and making the hit.
Call it a gain of 1, 2nd down and 9. Lepresti out of the gun. 7 penalties against the Colonials already today. On that quarterback keep, the draw play as Lepresti sees it part like the Red Sea, and he runs for a first down directly up the middle. Nice gain for the junior out of Fairfax, Virginia. Up to the 36. First down Dukes. Coming up on 4:20 to play in the first half. Duquesne on top of Robert Morris, 10-0. Motion by the tight end, Kevin Enright. This time Hughes does get the football, and he is swarmed under and thrown backwards. Zach Zamiska, backup defensive lineman, a sophomore out of Aron Lake, Ohio, goes 6'5", 290, and he used every ounce of that frame to tackle the ball carrier.
Look at that helmet. Now that's a defensive lineman's helmet. That's got scratches, scrapes. That guy's been putting his head into all kinds of places and came up with a big hit right there on that first down play.
Zamiska with 40 tackles on the year coming in. Here's Lepresti. Tries to turn the corner, and Jimmy Masson, number 31, throws him out of bounds, and a late penalty marker on the play. Now it looks like going to be some type of unsportsmanlike conduct. There was some jawing going on along the Duquesne bench. Let's see who they get for the penalty.
I'm looking at Jerry Schmidt down there, and he's having a little conversation with some of his players on the bench.
He wants them to stay out of the fray, and that's undisciplined when your guys on the bench start jawing and yapping like that.
Well, that's a heated rivalry. When you have this
It
backyard brawl, you got kids who've known each other since they were in grade school, and you know they're very competitive and very
After the
fierce.
play was over, personal foul, number 57 against Duquesne. 15-yard penalty enforced in the dead ball spot. The down counts. It's 3rd down.
That would be backup offensive lineman Reed Skips. He's a junior out of Torrance, California.
Let's see if we can see here. You see him right there, 57. He's in there. He's giving a little shove there to Mason as he's talking stuff.
Let's go downstairs. We're going to go downstairs to John Schmelk momentarily, but we're going to keep it here in time for the snap. It is 3rd and 25. Presti with Hughes on his left shoulder. Gives the ball to Hughes. Read perfectly by that Colonials D. They were all over it. Ryan Lewis, number 92, was in on the play. And it does look like we have another injured player on the field. And that is running back Marcus Hughes. Let's go downstairs to John.
You guys saw that extracurricular activity on the previous play. Earlier in the game, in the middle of the first quarter, head coach John Banaszak was talking to his team and yelling at them not to commit those type of penalties, and he thought there was too much yapping, pushing, and shoving after a lot of the plays earlier in the game. So it looks like his team might be starting to get the message. I'm sure Jerry Schmidt will say the same to his group after that last penalty.
Yeah, I can guarantee you they got it now, John. Jerry Schmidt is old school, a disciplinarian who has absolutely no tolerance for extracurricular activities.
Well, you know, since that early turnover that Robert Morris made, the interception, really this has turned into just a knockdown, drag-out kind of street fight for these two teams going against each other. And you can kind of see it, the way they're playing, and some of the emotions are starting to come out in this game.
Marcus Hughes able to walk off under his own power. It is 4th and 26. And Patrick Dill is back there to punt. Crimmins actually was the Duke who took the last punt for some reason, but Dill is back in there now. Antoinetti has this one go over his head, and you know he really wanted to return it, but he just couldn't get back there quick enough as it goes out of bounds at the Robert Morris 28. So it's Colonial football with 2:46 left in the first half. They are down 10-0. Paul Dottino, Scott Bruner, John Schmelk back in Pittsburgh. Duquesne leads Robert Morris 10-0. It's Colonials football as we put it back in play. You know, Duquesne founded in 1878, Scott. This place has been around for a long time, but the first time we've ever been here to do a television football game. And I have to say, I'm very impressed. Love the campus. 49.5 secluded acres with 43 buildings right here next to the river. It is a beautiful view. Love the architecture. Love the fact that the field is dropped into the middle of the campus. And I tell you, a paisan like me, I got to love it. Duquesne has a satellite campus in Rome, Italy. I think maybe we should go there for our next football game.
Going to play it in the Coliseum?
Why not?
That's a home field for Duquesne in Rome, the Coliseum.
So a little pasta there at the snack bar. Prather back to throw on first down from his own 28. He's going to go long, incomplete, intended for Lamico once again. They have really tried to get the ball to Nick, but just unable to connect.
You know, I think Robert Morris is looking to get a big chunk. You know, they know they aren't set up to drive the football the length of the field, 10, 12, 15 play drives. They're going to have to get some chunks. So they've put in their game plan, taking some shots down the field and hoping they can get some big plays. They made on the last drive, they got the big play out to Mitchell. They've thrown about 4 or 5 other ones so far and haven't been successful.
2nd and 10. Prather off the play action. Lofts one down to Mitchell. Incomplete. Penalty markers on the play. Now, Chris Johnson, number 4, looked like he had the best chance at the ball.
Yeah, I think Chicago's going to get called for pass interference on this one, number 10.
Johnson with 1 pick this year, Chicago with 4. Neither one of them able to come down with that
Pass
one.
interference. Number 10 of the defense. Automatic first down.
Like any true quarterback, Scott picks out the pass interference.
And you see Chicago right there just not even looking for the ball, just going for the strip of number 7, Dwayne Mitchell. Official right on the spot makes the call. It's 15 yards and first down.
If you're joining us late, once again, Mitchell with a couple of catches today. That's a reception in 33 straight games to set a Colonials program record. As Eric Main takes the handoff and rumbles forward for just a couple, it'll be 2nd down and 8. Was that number 54, Nathan Stone, again around the ball?
You know, he's a great player. You know, the 2 inside linebackers for Duquesne are just solid football players. Martello, saw him earlier in the game, and Stone on that one really coming after it.
And Dane O'Driscoll shaking up on the play.
Yeah, that's the 2nd time today O'Driscoll's been hobbled off the field.
Let's go downstairs to John.
As on the last series for Robert Morris, starting right tackle John Hill had to come out of the game. He re-injured his right knee. It was already braced. They retaped it, and he's been on the sideline since, trying to see if he can play with it. He's still not back in the game, but he has his helmet on. He looks desperate to get back in there. He's a senior, but right now it looks like that knee's not well enough.
On 2nd and 9, Prather hits Dwayne Mitchell. And that is a Robert Morris first down. Goes for 25 yards.
Boy, that was an impressive throw there. You see Prather escaping to the left and throwing back against his body. He throws a strike in there to Mitchell. Mitchell bobbles it just a little bit, but holds on, and there's that big chunk Robert Morris was looking for in their offensive attack.
Mitchell now 63 yards on 4 receptions. And so Robert Morris for the first down carry on the ground for Eric Main. Has nowhere to go, lost about a foot. And again, look at those linebackers, Stone and Martello. They are really getting around.
Well, you know, Robert Morris trying to just keep the game in hand, running the ball a lot in the middle, and those 2 linebackers in the middle for Duquesne have really been active.
Prather fumbles the ball out of the shotgun and does the smart thing. How many guys try to pick it up and run with it, Scott? Prather was smart enough to know that all you got to do is get the ball back under your belly.
Yeah, that's a big mistake, though, dropping the snap.
Timeout.
You know, good snap.
Robert Morris. It's their 2nd charge. Timeout of the half.
You know, looked like his offense was really starting to get a little momentum, getting some great field position. This ball's right where it needs to be, and Prather just takes his eyes off of it a little bit early, trying to get down the field, and there he just falls on it. And now it's 3rd down.
30-second timeout. 30 seconds.
Minute 20 to go in the first half. And Robert Morris has 1 timeout remaining after they've just burned their 2nd. If you're joining us late, we have seen an interception by Sam Martello in the early moments of the game, converted into a Lopresti to Oduho touchdown pass. So Duquesne had a 7-0 lead. Then a bit later on, Austin Crimmins connected on a field goal, and that's where we stand. Duquesne with a 10-0 advantage. Been a very strange recent vintage for the Duquesne Dukes. First place in 2011, and then they did it again in 2013. But in every other year, they've had some struggles.
Duquesne likes the odd years, it looks like. The 1s and the 3s.
Marcus Prather out of the shotgun on 3rd and 19. Motion by Mitchell. A lot of time, and now the pocket collapses. Prather looking. He unloads. He wants Lamica. And it's nearly intercepted by Chris Johnson. But there's a late penalty marker in the Colonials' backfield. Did they hit the quarterback high or too late? Or was there a hold? Holding on Robert Morris. It will be declined. And they'll have to punt.
Holding. Number 37 offense. Penalties decline. 4th down.
That's the 2nd time today. Running back Eric Main has been called for a hold. So on 4th and 19, Tony Lamancusa will come back into the ball game.
Just a big mistake there, and if you're a quarterback, Prather, what your thought process should have been on that one, your 3rd down and 20, if you can get the ball, get 8 or 10 yards, then you give yourself, force a decision onto your coach. If you're at the 30-yard line, maybe he goes for it on 4th down, because you're at the verge of your field goal range. But when you throw a long pass down the field and miss it, then you're forcing your coach to make a punt decision.
And that one bounces into the end zone for a touchback. So it is a 40-yard kick. As the return man Rami was on the far side of the field. The kick went away from him. And the Dukes will take over first down from their own 20 with 1:02 to go. Now, we know that Lepresti is a rather inexperienced quarterback, Scott. You're the Dukes. You have a 10-0 lead. Do you just sit on it and run it out?
Yeah, I think you're going to run a couple plays. If you can break one and get one out near midfield, then you change your philosophy. But I think when you're back here with 80 yards to go, an inexperienced quarterback, and you're sitting on a 10-0 lead in a rivalry game, you should be happy going into the locker room, especially knowing that you're going to be receiving the kickoff in the second half.
Yes, the Dukes deferred after winning the coin toss. Here is Douglas. Falls forward for a yard, maybe 2. Forrest Mason in on the tackle. Brian Lewis too.
Too many people don't look at the game as the first half and the second half as an extension of himself. So this is a case where Duquesne's going to get the ball essentially in the same spot on the field. So why force anything? Why make a silly mistake, which gives Robert Morris an opportunity to really climb back into the game if you don't have to.
Under 30 seconds to go in the first half, so this likely will be the final play before the break. Lepresti on 2nd down and 9. Hands off to Douglas again. Lowers his shoulder. Runs into Masson. And that'll do it. Under 10 seconds to play, the Dukes will run off into the locker room with a 10-0 lead. It has been a very physical battle between the Duquesne Dukes and the Robert Morris Colonials. We knew it would be. The battle for the Berg, the Steel City Showdown. Two tough teams going at it, mano a mano. 10-0 Duquesne over Robert Morris. We'll send it down to John Schmelk. He is standing by with Jerry Schmidt, the head coach of the Dukes.
Coach, your defense pitched a shutout in that first half. Why are they able to have so much success?
Defense is playing well. They're getting to the ball. They prepped up for this wide open offense. A lot of different things that Robert Morris does. So they're doing a good job right now.
How do you get the offense going?
Well, we got to open up a little bit, but we're being effective. Just got to string together a couple more first downs.
Coach, best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. Paul, back to you.
Okay, John, thanks very much. Michael Lepresti has thrown 1 touchdown pass. Austin Crimmins has kicked 1 field goal. That accounts for the 10 points we've had in the first half. They're all on the Duquesne side of the scoreboard. We'll be back with our halftime festivities live from Pittsburgh. You're watching Northeast Conference football on ESPN3.
It's time for the NEC Football Super 7 Countdown. I'm Ralph Entry, ready to bring you the top 7 plays from Week 12 on the gridiron. Our first featured play comes from the NEC Football Game of the Week on ESPN3. Sacred Heart's Pat Casey puts the Pioneers on the scoreboard with this 14-yard touchdown reception from R.J. Noel.
A transfer from Western Carolina. 1st and 10 from the 15. Noel, deep drop, looks end zone, wide open. Touchdown, Pat Casey.
Play number 6 comes from a Keystone State clash against St. Francis and Robert Morris. It's St. Francis quarterback Zach Dreyer finding Anthony Abide, who runs the perfect post pattern. Touchdown, Red Flash. Play number 5 comes out of Bryant's Bag of Tricks. We've seen Sam Salmons run a fake punt for a touchdown this year. Here, against Sacred Heart, he throws a first down completion to Ricardo McCray. The Bulldogs move the chains. Play number 4 comes courtesy of NEC Rookie of the Week, Marcus Bagley. The St. Francis running back, a perfect complement to Kahari Dixon, takes this toss and rumbles 36 yards, and with the extra effort, gets into the end zone for the SFU touchdown. Play number 3 is from Mr. Pick 6. Wagner senior cornerback Jared Judon intercepts this one and takes it 28 yards for the Seahawks score. He has 7 interceptions this season and 3 pick sixes. Play number 2 takes us back to the Sacred Heart against Bryant game. It's the 4th quarter. Pioneers looking for some offense. Noel throws it down the sidelines, and yes, he pulls it in. Talk about a pretty play. Tyler Doobie with a one-handed grab. 22 yards, first down, Sacred Heart. And now, play number 1. Game on the line. NEC title on the line. FCS playoff bid up for grabs. What do you do? Let's listen to Paul Dottino.
Play action pass. Noel, he's looking for Doobie in the end zone. Touchdown! It goes for 24 yards, and Sacred Heart takes a 13-7 lead with 2:30 to go.
And Doobie's 24-yard touchdown catch paved the way for this.
And doesn't even get the opportunity to do so. As he is thrown to the ground, Alex Finelli was there, number 30. Gordon Hill also in the vicinity. And the Sacred Heart Pioneers have won their 2nd consecutive Northeast Conference Championship, knocking off the number 21 rated Bryant Bulldogs 14-7.
So there they are, the top 7 plays from Week 12 on the gridiron. We have one more week in the regular season remaining. We'll see you back next week for the NEC Football Super 7 Countdown.
We are back here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the half. Duquesne leads Robert Morris 10-0. And joining us for this very special interview at halftime is Senior Associate Athletics Director Phil Rasico from Duquesne. And Phil, obviously your team off to a 10-0 start here. Your football program has made a lot of progress over the last few years. Big reason, an increase in scholarships, more than doubling. How do you guys manage that, and what kind of benefit has it been for your program?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think we had a really successful tradition at the non-scholarship level of football, but as we looked at the landscape of FCS football moving forward, we felt like the scholarship route was definitely the way to go. So initially, that first stage of the program with 18 scholarships was essentially mostly need-based aid that we, converted to the scholarship form. Actually worked with the folks over at Robert Morris on that transition and how to make that happen. Moving into the NEC, the initial goal was to get 30 scholarships, so we had this plan to build it over 5 years to go from the 18 to the 30. Somewhere in the middle of that, the NEC voted to go to the 40 scholarships, so we obviously had to accelerate that plan strategically. Tremendous amount of support from the university, the administration. Obviously getting to the 37 scholarships adds to, first and foremost, the talent level you have on the field, the size, athleticism, and certainly the depth. As you see in the first half of this game, lots of injuries happen in football, so the depth is key.
Now, we've seen the Keller Fieldhouse at the far end zone over the course of this game. Brand new, renovated. The football team has their locker rooms there, so does the lacrosse team, and so does the soccer team, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's been about a 4-year project overall, done in a couple phases. Keller Fieldhouse, generosity of a lot of donors, some major donors. Football locker rooms expanded the size and scope of the locker room, have some neat little toys in there with movable walls that guys can watch video and film on, that kind of thing. Football offices, certainly the coaching staff, they work a zillion hours. And, so we wanted to give them a nice environment to work in. Certainly helps with recruiting. And then the second phase we just completed this past summer with locker rooms, men's soccer, women's lacrosse, and actually women's swimming. So, again, giving those teams a home that they're proud of, they can call their own. Also, again, another piece of that is recruiting for those sports and programs as well. Certainly, it's been a process over the years, but we're happy with what we've had, complete.
I know one piece of huge news for your university. You guys will be hosting a couple rounds of the NCAA men's basketball tournament in 2015 and 2018. First of all, I can only imagine the competition to do that. How'd you get it, and what does it mean for the school?
Well, obviously it means a lot to the university for that visibility. I take a lot of pride in our ability to host an event like that. It's a marquee event. It's one of the biggest things people know, and March Madness is huge. The city of Pittsburgh, great sports city. Team effort, the building, the facility. Consol Energy Center, which is just down the hill, is a state-of-the-art facility. We hosted the event in 2012 for the first time in 10 years. It was back here in Pittsburgh. Did a great job. Put a bid in shortly right around that time and got it for 2015. And then this past week we learned that we'll be hosting again in 2018. So I can't say enough about how the city works together to make that happen. Staff at Duquesne, again, put a lot of time and a lot of hours into that as well. So, but again, it's the event that in college basketball everyone wants to be a part of. We're glad to host it. Also look forward to having a chance of playing it sometime real soon.
Phil, appreciate the time, my friend.
All right, thank you.
That's Senior Associate Athletics Director Phil Rasico right here at the half. Duquesne leads Robert Morris 10-0 in the Battle of the Berg. Paul Dottino and Scott Bruner will rejoin you right after this.
The sun has finally found a way to peek between the clouds here in Pittsburgh, where Duquesne has a 10-0 lead over Robert Morris in the Steel City Showdown. It is time to take a look at our first half highlights. There have been some big plays here, Scott.
Well, it got off to a fast start. A big hit there by Chris Johnson, the safety, knocking down Marcus Prather, taking him out for a play. His replacement gets picked clean by Martello. Takes it down inside the Robert Morris 5. 2 plays later, Prather puts it out there for Ardujo for the lone touchdown in the first half. Duquesne kept driving, and you see Hughes here breaking a long one. That sets up their second score of the day. See the Crimmins field goal making it 10-0. There were a few highlights for Robert Morris. The big one was this pick where the defense holds Duquesne out of the end zone. That one's Drew Allen returns it out to midfield. Penalty brought it back, and Robert Morris was not able to do much with it. And you see,
it's time to look at our Snyders of Hanover halftime stats. Got to send some pretzels up here, folks. We could certainly use them. We're hungry. Yeah. Robert Morris's offense is hungry for some yardage. It's been a tough go.
Yeah, it's been tough all year for Robert Morris, and still the same. They had one nice drive there at the end of the first half. Penalty kept them out of the end zone. Duquesne moving the ball nicely, but just unable to put it through, put it across the goal line and get any points on the board.
So far, Duquesne has turned it over twice. Robert Morris has turned it over once. Back after this. Paul Dottino, Scott Bruder, and John Schmelk back with you in Pittsburgh as we get ready to start the second half. Duquesne leads Robert Morris by the score of 10-0. The quarterbacks, Lopresti 3 of 6 for 37 yards, a touchdown and a pick for the Dukes. And for Robert Morris, Marcus Prather 5 of 13 for 64 yards. It is 2 turnovers for Robert Morris, 1 turnover for Duquesne, and Devin Romming has 1 reception for 25 yards. Officially, that gives him 70 catches for the year. That currently leaves him 2 catches short of the Duquesne Dukes' all-time single-season reception record. So we will keep track of that throughout the course of the second half and see if he can hit the mark. Let's go downstairs where Robert Morris head coach John Banaszak is standing by with John Schmelk.
Well, thank you, Paul. Coach, you got to put some points on the boards. How do you get your offense going here to try to score in the second half?
Well, all we have to do is sustain some drives. We've moved the ball a little bit, got first downs, and then we shoot ourselves in the foot with a penalty, a bad snap, or whatever. You know, we had 7 penalties in the first half, and each one of them was, hurt us in somewhere, one way or the other.
I know one of your keys going into was trying to stop the run. They had a couple big ones early, but just seemed to solidify it towards the end of that first half.
Yeah, we're playing a much better game defensively after the slow start. We'll see what we can do here in the second half offensively and put some points on the board.
Coach, best luck.
Thank you.
Paul, back to you.
Okay, John. Ryan Lewis had a very good first half for that Colonials defense. 6 tackles and a sack. Really, 3 tackles for a loss. Was one of the big reasons why the Duquesne Dukes haven't been able to pull away.
Yeah, and Robert Morris just hanging in there. Coach Banasek knows it's a team that doesn't score a lot of points. They're only averaging about 11 points a game through this whole season, and in the last 3 weeks, they've only scored 17 points in the last 3 weeks, so they're down right around 8 points a game over the last 3 weeks. So something drastic is going to have to change here, and they're going to have to make some big plays here in the second half. I wouldn't be surprised to see them dip into that bag of tricks, try to come up with some of those big plays.
As we open up the second half, you'll remember Duquesne won the toss and they deferred. They will now get the ball to open the third quarter, as you were telling us right before the end of the half. And, Scott, that's why it was so prudent of them to allow that first half to expire when they got it with about a minute to go. They knew they were getting the ball back.
Yeah, they're going to have the ball right where the first half ended, so technically it's just an extension of that drive that they had at the end of the first half. Now they can take their time and run the plays that they want to run that help them be successful and not put their players in a situation where they're maybe doing something a little bit uncomfortable or out of the ordinary, especially with a new quarterback in there who doesn't have a lot of experience in a 2-minute situation.
Now, up in Rhode Island, we've gotten word that Wagner took a 13-0 lead over Bryant. Bryant has since come back with, I believe, a touchdown. It is 13-7. Bryant still trailing, and they need that win to potentially grab an at-large NCAA playoff bid. Here's the kickoff, and it's received at the 10 to the 20, 25-yard line, and out to the 30-yard line as he's hogtied. Should I say just short of the 30 for Duquesne. That would be Xavier Nelson, sophomore backup wide receiver. Smikera with the tackle. Flag on the play, and the way Robert Morris has been collecting penalties, your inclination is to look at them, but it does not believe, based on what the officials are looking like, it will be on them. Sophomore tight end Ben Grohl flagged for the Dukes.
When you look at the season as a whole, Robert Morris usually only gets about 7 penalties for about 50 yards per game. They did that in the first half alone today.
Oh, when it rains, it pours. Scott, sometimes it's just not your year. And it has been tough going for both of these clubs. A litany of injuries on both sides of the ball. Remember, these teams were picked both to be in the top 3 in the conference before the season started. First down for the Dukes from their own 18. Lepresti off the play action, rolls, fires, connects. First down for Dave Thomas. Out across the 30 to the 32-yard line. Ryan Richards on the hit.
Very interesting. Duquesne comes out, really kind of opens it up right from the beginning. Play action, getting Lepresti out on the edge, giving him the option to run pass. He finds Thomas over the middle, throws a dart in there, and gets a first down.
A 14-yard gain, and for Thomas, his first catch of the day. As we open up the third quarter with Duquesne on top 10-0. Lepresti taken down. Loss of a couple. Austin Turgovich with the stop. He's a pretty good-looking player.
Yeah, he has a good motor, gets around, makes some plays from that defensive end position. And when you're running against these kind of wide-open spread offenses, you need to get an active defensive end in there because he's got to be responsible for either shutting down an inside attack or taking the quarterback on the option.
2nd and 11 for Lepresti. Motion by Thomas. Keeping it on the ground for Ryan Ho, and he is drilled. This Colonials defense is coming out of the locker room all fired up. That was Forrest Mason, number 90, drilling Ho to the turf.
You know, and you don't see a lot of respect here for this Sacred Heart passing attack. You know, one of the top passing attacks in the league, but when you gut it up their top signal caller, Dylan Beekle, you know, it just becomes an ordinary type of a passing attack, and that allows the defense really gang up on the run.
Gain of 3, so it's 3rd and 8. Presti looking, running out of room, fires, and it's complete. Chavis Rollins inside Colonials territory. And Ryan Richards just stood there and allowed the pass to be completed. I don't know if he gave up on the play or thought the quarterback had gone out of bounds.
Yeah, it looks like one of our officials has gone out of bounds, and he's down for the count.
That is near where Lopresti unloaded the ball, near the Duquesne bench, and one of the officials is flat on his back.
Yeah, well, he got Lopresti, ran right into him. You know, he had nowhere to go as he was up against, his back was up against the Sacred Heart players on the bench, and made a great throw, Lopresti did.
We'll take a quick timeout. Duquesne is up by 10. Coming off of the timeout, you get a look at Mark Bitar, one of the officials who got run into by quarterback Michael Lopresti on that completed pass. And you never want to be looking down, because when you're on a football field, at any time you can get run into.
Yeah, well, Bitar, he's a line judge, so he was out there on the sideline at the line of scrimmage, and as Lopresti was scrambling out to his left, you know, part of his responsibility is to make sure that quarterback doesn't go beyond the line of scrimmage when he makes the throw. Lopresti just running out of bounds made the throw and ran right into Bitar, and I think he went down and the back of his head probably smacked right against the ground.
Well, it was a first down completion. So Lopresti on 1st and 10 from the 46 has his man down the left sideline. That is Wayne Capers. And the Dukes are first down at the Colonial 12. It is a 34-yard pickup.
Now, and the common theme amongst all these throws have been number 16, Drew Allen. That's the guy they're going after. They're not throwing the ball anywhere near Antoine Eddy on the other side. All these big throws down the field are focused straight at Drew Allen, the freshman.
Eddy, an all-NEC pick. Why would you want to attack him? First down from the 12. Here's the quarterback again, Lopresti, and he's drilled. Ryan Richards came flying in at the last moment and threw Lopresti to the ground back at the 18. Loss of 6. Check it. Ball at the 13. Second down and 11.
You know, this is a big series for Robert Morris. You know, this game could get out of hand real fast if their defense doesn't come up here with some stops.
That's Ho. And on call, linebacker Zach Cooper drills Ho in the hole after a gain of only 1. So it's 3rd down and long. Cooper, a sophomore out of Hurricane, West Virginia, 5'9", 195. Lepresti with Ho in the backfield. Rollins is to the left. Capers is to the right. Lepresti with a look back. Coming up on 6 seconds to go on the play clock. Going end zone. Lepresti wants Rollins. Touchdown. And with 11:06 to go in the 3rd quarter, Duquesne jumps on top, 16-0.
That's just a heck of a throw and a catch right down there by Lepresti and Rollins. You're going to get a chance here to see a one-hand snag pretty much as Rollins down there puts the one hand up there and just pulls it in there, makes the grab, and Richards could do nothing about it. Perfect throw and catch.
For Capers, that is his first touchdown catch of the season. And for Lepresti, his 2nd scoring strike of the day. Austin Crimmins to attempt the point after. Out of the hold of Lepresti. It is good. And so Duquesne comes out strong here with a 3rd quarter touchdown, and it is 17-0. And now their defense can start pinning the tears back.
You're going to see here just great position there by Rollins. Kind of hand checking, fighting off the defender Richards. And then just a marvelous one-hand snag. He reaches up there, pulls down the 2nd touchdown pass of the day for Lepresti.
So Jerry Schmidt and company have themselves a 17-0 lead. The Dukes 4-2 at home this season. The friendly confines of Verde Field. Good job by the quarterback Lepresti. He was really able to mix things up as they were able to gobble up real estate and then capped it off with a nice throw.
Well, that's really changing pace. You know, they really didn't throw the ball that much. Really kind of out of character for Duquesne, who likes to throw the ball. That drive, you know, they only threw it 6 times in the entire first half. On that drive, Lepresti put it up there a few times, made a couple of big plays. First play of the game, came out and got in good field position, made the nice 3rd down throw and the scramble, and then obviously the touchdown pass just to end the drive.
Crimmins tees the ball up at the 35. Back deep, number 25, Warren Fields for Robert Morris. It's a squib kick. Fielded wide, one of the up men. That is number 42 for Robert Morris. Ben Line, he is a freshman tight end out of Oxford, Michigan. So Robert Morris at least has pretty good field position as they open up this possession. With 11:02 left in the 3rd quarter, they're down 17-0. This is a Colonials team that's only averaged 11 points per game this season. Let's go downstairs to John Schmelz.
Well, Paul, line judge Mark Bertar is still on the sideline here trying to stretch out that neck. Not sure if he's going to try to get back into this game, but without him, the back judge has to move up and help spot the ball on the sideline. That means there's one less referee in that defensive backfield to try to spot those pass interference penalties, something to keep an eye on.
Well, they're not going to throw it here as Prather tucks it around the right side and fights his way forward with a stiff arm, trying to fight off Alimenti. He gets out to the 45. It's an 8-yard pickup. It'll be 2nd down and 2.
Yeah, and as far as, you know, John's comment is the officials kind of practice this. They understand that they're going to lose a guy, and they know how to rotate around. And like John said, the side judge moves up, takes the line. The field judge, who's normally in the middle field, just comes out to where the side judge normally officiated from.
Forrest Barnes is awfully close to moving the sticks. Jake Radzukinas with the stop, and it will be 3rd and about inches. No, they're going to spot it at the 47. 1st down, Robert Morris.
You know, once again, an important drive here for Robert Morris. They've got to find a way to get some points on the board. You know, they're just running out of time, and you know, Duquesne, impressive drive there to open the half. You got to believe that they're starting to find their rhythm.
Robert Morris with only 5 first downs today. A penalty mark around the play as Barnes runs it behind right tackle for a gain of 4. Looks like it may be a hold.
Yeah, it might be. I think it's 81 Kepka, the tight end.
Trying to seal that edge.
Well, he was getting Martello coming in there looking to break it up, and he just kind of had to reach out and literally tackle him to keep him out of the play.
Joining us late, Martello and Stone were very active in the first half.
Block in the back, number 81 offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
You were right, tight end Justin Kempka drew the penalty, so that's a 10-yard infraction. And the Colonials will have to go backwards. Good news for John Hill, number 71. We heard from John Schmelk earlier that they had that knee brace off trying to work on him in the first half. He's back in there at right tackle right now.
Well, they're thin at the offensive line position. They really need bodies in there, and they need quality bodies.
1st and 20 from the 37. The check down to Centofanti, and he's up to the 41.
Yeah, there's that number 48 again, Martello, stepping up, making the play. Duquesne just dropping in a deep zone, keep everything in front of them, and rely on your tackling skills. And one of the best tacklers on the field is Martello.
Had 4 tackles and an interception in the first half. His first pick of the season. 2nd and 16. Long down the right sideline. Dwayne Mitchell caught the ball. Was he in? Duquesne says no. The officials say yes. First down, Robert Morris. And for Mitchell, that is his 49th catch of the season.
Just a little wheel route here. Mitchell gets out on the sideline. You see he goes up, and I don't know. He might have had 1 foot out of bounds on that one. It's hard. We have to see which foot came down first.
First down at the Dukes 41. Forrest Barnes lowers his shoulder and runs right into Dane O'Driscoll, who was shaken up a couple of times in the first half. Sam Martello was also there. Gain of 1, 2nd down and 9. Mitchell last year as a junior set a Robert Morris record with 52 receptions. He's got 5 today, so let me check those stats. That gives him 52, so indeed he is now tied a school record with 52 catches. Nearly had 53 here, but it fell through his fingertips.
A little behind Mitchell on that one. Once again, trying to run him on that jet sweep, faking the jet sweep, and just trying to get him the ball out into space.
3rd and 9 for the Colonials. And I'd say they're probably in 4-down territory, trailing 17-0. They need something to spark this offense. So even if you get 5 or 6 here, that's a good play, Scott. Prather deep into the pocket. Here comes the pressure. He's looking for Mitchell and cannot convert. Brian Hall was in coverage. It is 4th and 9.
And you can kind of see some of the problems that the Robert Morris pass attack has. They know they're so thin in pass protection that they have to keep extra people in on pass protection. So they're keeping, a full complement of blockers in plus some. They're only sending out 2, maybe 3 receivers at the most. So you're sending 3 receivers into a secondary that has 7 or 8 defenders.
Line judge Mark Bertar checks back into the game on 4th and 9. Long downfield, down the far sideline, out of bounds. Luke Centofanti tried to make the grab, but he couldn't stay within the sideline. Coverage by Josh Jordan. And so the Dukes take over on downs with 8:39 to play in the 3rd quarter. And again, they're on top 17-0. 2 touchdown passes from quarterback Mike Lopresti. We'll take a quick timeout and be back with more Northeast Conference football after this. Midway through the third quarter in Pittsburgh, Duquesne leads Robert Morris 17-0. For information on how you can receive a discount on your next stay at any Choice Hotel property nationwide, simply visit the NEC's website at northeastconference.org and click on the Corporate Partners link to learn more. Choice Hotels International, an official partner of the Northeast Conference. Glad you could join us as we are back here in Pittsburgh. Duquesne with a 17-0 lead. First down for the Dukes from their own 40. Lopresti out of the shotgun. Hands off to Wayne Capers. And he fights his way forward for maybe 4 yards around that right side. Capers, a wide receiver, junior, 6'1", 205 pounds, out of Pittsburgh. Funny, this year, this wide receiver coming in only had 2 catches, but 16 rushes. As you know, they love to use multiple receiver sets in this offense, and they're not afraid to give them the ball.
Well, and that's what they have to do. That's how they mix their running game in. They usually only have one true running back on the field at any time. So one of those extra wide receivers becomes the next running option.
Motion by Thomas. That's Hughes in the backfield. Play action behind Thomas, incomplete. And he was about to get leveled by Drew Allen.
There's a little yapping going on down there on the field. Allen really made the hit on Thomas, who was a little bit out of position. And Allen's really been getting a lot of attention today, and he's probably getting a little frustrated himself with all the action going on. He's made a great interception earlier in the game, but has given up a couple of touchdown passes as well.
3rd and 6 from the 44. There's Lopresti with the look back once again. The junior out of Fairfax, Virginia, at the controls, has not had much experience, as we told you at the top of the broadcast. A plethora of injuries to both quarterbacks on this team this season. Penalty marker on the play as Lopresti bobbled the snap, but that was a dead ball foul.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 62, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Right tackle Larson Graham jumped. I believe that's the 4th penalty against Duquesne today. Only had 3 for 35 in the first half. So it's now 3rd and 11. Three-man front for the Colonials. Only 1 down lineman as they go to their sub package. Presti better hurry. 5 seconds coming up here on the play clock. He's got Marcus Hughes in the backfield. It's a very deep drop, and here comes the pressure. Number 56, Austin Turkovich, who has quite a motor on him, Scott, was really getting after the QB.
Well, they're trying to set up a screen pass. Turkovich coming off that left side, and the Robert Morris defensive linebacker sniffed this one out. You're going to see right there as you get number 90 Mason, number 92 Lewis right there on the screen. No place to go with the ball, so Lopresti just throws it into the ground.
So on 4th down, here comes Patrick Dill in once again to punt. Check that. That's Austin Crimmins, who for the 2nd time today has replaced Dill back there. Gets off a nice kick. Eddie unable to return it. And it dribbles out of bounds. Looks like they're going to spot it where? At the Robert Morris 23 with 7:35 to play in the 3rd quarter. And the Colonials down 17-0. Let's look at the out-of-town Northeast Conference scoreboard. In the 4th quarter, Wagner has a 16-7 lead over Bryant with 12 minutes remaining. Understand that the winner of that game is the co-NEC champion. However, the Sacred Heart Pioneers already have locked up the NCAA playoff bid. A Bryant victory puts them into serious consideration for an at-large bid. Wagner, even though they'd be co-champs today, in all likelihood do not have a resume to grab an at-large bid for the NCAA playoffs. So a very critical game being played up in Rhode Island as we continue our Steel City showdown. And looks like Prather is a bit shaken up as he only gains a yard on that keep.
Yeah, Prather getting trying to run the ball out on the edge. You know, he's taken some hits as the quarterback in the running extension of the running game.
Prather stays in there. Centofonte with the catch. Out to the 30. Gain of about 5. So it'll be 3rd and 4 or at least a long 3. Well, they're going to mark him across the 30 and say he's at the 30 and a half. So 3rd and about 2. Marcus Prather remains at quarterback. 8 of 19 for 93 yards. Out of the gun. Rolls, fires, complete to Duquesne Mitchell. Maybe gains a yard. Let's see where they spot the ball.
I think he got it. I think they're going to give him the first down.
Looks like they will. The changer along the far side of the field, and they will move them on. We've been told that up in Rhode Island, Bryant has just scored a touchdown. So early in the 4th quarter, that is a 16-13 game pending the extra point by the Bulldogs. And you saw moments ago, we have the graphic of the Bulldogs' resume, as again, they are trying to play themselves into an NCAA playoff bid. First down from the 33. Prather is drilled in the backfield by linebacker Sam Martello.
Yeah, don't go into Martello's neighborhood because that guy can lock it down, and he's been doing it all day. And that time Prather paid the price, taking a 6-yard loss.
Good news for the Dukes. Martello's only a junior, and Nathan Stone's only a freshman.
Oh, they've got a good future, this team. You know, they get their quarterback back next year. There's some great talent at the wide receiver position. Duquesne's going to be a force to be reckoned with in 2015.
2nd and 15. Prather throws up the jump ball. Incomplete, intended for Lamica. One thing for sure, Scott, we talked about the inexperience of both of these quarterbacks playing today for each team. Robert Morris has not been shy about allowing Prather to air it out, but you also said strategically that's probably a less harmful way to do it.
It's an easy way. It's what you do. That's what you do when you want to hide a quarterback that really can't see the field, can't make all the throws. The easiest place to throw, the safest place to throw for a quarterback is down, from the numbers outside to the sideline. He can see clearly what's happening down there, and in the event that you do get an interception, it becomes...
Ball start. Number 52 offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
If it is intercepted, and your wide receiver is good enough to make the tackle, it's nothing more than a long punt. So you don't really lose that much as far as your field position is concerned.
Anthony Lucian with the penalty for Robert Morris sets up a 3rd and 20 from the Colonials 23, and Prather had trouble with the snap, recovers, fires over the middle. That pass is intercepted by Chris Johnson. He could go for 6, and he does. Now there's a penalty marker on the play. Another official has been run over in the corner of the end zone. Chris Johnson, with his 2nd pick of the season, took it the distance. But let's see what the penalty is all about with 5:27 left in the 3rd quarter.
Well, you got interference here on Johnson as he just knocks Mitchell down to get that interception. And there you see him coming back. And then probably going to see a block in the back right there against hitting Prather in the back. That was Quintana, number 97, with the block in the back. So that's the 2nd. So you got 2 penalties against Duquesne on this play.
The pass was intended for Duquesne Mitchell, number 7.
Yeah, the block in the back will be declined. The interference will be accepted, and it'll be Robert Morris ball, 1st down, out here around the 37-yard line.
In the meantime, for the 2nd time today, one of our officials has been run over and needs medical assistance.
Well, this looks like a knee, though. Yeah, he's getting his knee checked out down there.
So with 5:27 to go in the 3rd quarter, Duquesne has a 7-0 lead over Robert Morris. To recap the scoring, it was an interception by Sam Martello in the opening moments that allowed Michael Lepresti and company to operate deep inside Robert Morris territory. It was a 4-yard scoring pass to Noel Oduho that opened things up at 7-0 Duquesne. And with about 6 minutes left in the 1st quarter, it was Crimmins connecting from 23 yards out on a field goal, 10-0 Dukes as we went into the break at halftime. Then Rollins caught a 12-yard touchdown pass from Lepresti early here in the 3rd, and that's where we stand.
There are 2 fouls on Duquesne during the play. During the return, illegal block in the back, number 97 will be declined. pass interference, Duquesne number 4 will be accepted. That's an automatic first down for Robert Morris.
And the description exactly as you thought it would be. And so it is still 17-0 Duquesne. Again, the extra point tacked on after the Rollins touchdown catch. Now Johnson's going to be kind of kicking himself at the dinner table tonight because he's had a chance at 3 picks. He held on to that one, but it comes back on his own fault, the penalty. But he's also had his hands on a couple of others.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a chance. That one, he obviously just ran over the receiver, Mitchell, on that one to get that interception. So, but he's in the neighborhood, that's for sure. Chris Johnson is a playmaker for this Duquesne team, and he's made the big hits, and he's been in the mix on the pass defense.
Speaking of Chris Johnson, we've got some more from John Schmelk.
Yeah, Paul, he's a kid that's from Florida. For his first 2 years of school, he went to the University of Florida, where they tried him first at safety, then they tried to move him to running back, and he could never get into the starting lineup. So Johnson decided to leave, despite the fact he actually made a big play in the Sugar Bowl 3 years ago, recovering a fumble on special teams. And now 2 of his teammates from high school, also from Florida, were at Duquesne. So when he wanted to transfer, he talked to his 2 buddies, David Thomas and Taewon Frey, and they said, you know what would be a great spot for you? Duquesne. So that's how he found his way up to Pittsburgh. And, you know, he's really been a great fit, and sometimes some kids do better when they get away from where they're from, in his case, Florida. And he's fit in and been a real good playmaker and a big-time hitter for Duquesne up here in Pittsburgh in the NEC.
Yeah, coming into today, John, 53 tackles and an interception. As you get a look at John Banaszak, the Colonials coach, along the far sideline. Johnson at 5'10", 196 pounds, a senior from Ocala, Florida, to be very specific. Against Sacred Heart, had 8 tackles and a pick in a pretty good game earlier this year. That's the NCAA-bound Sacred Heart Pioneers, I might add. Ralph, did Bryan convert the extra point? They did not. So it is 16-13. Wagner over Bryant. The Bulldogs deep in their own territory with 9 minutes to play. Right here, Prather on 1st and 10 from his own 38. He hits Mitchell, who fights his way across the 45 to the 46. It's a gain of 8. It'll be 2nd down and 2. Shigog and Alimenti on the tackle.
You know, after going deep a few times, Robert Morris should have these corners set up to be off a little bit. They should be able to take advantage in the quick short pass game and get Prather some completions.
And for Mitchell, that's his 6th catch of the game, and it sets a brand new single season Robert Morris receiving record. 53 receptions for Mitchell this season. The run by Eric Main on 3rd down moves the sticks. 1st and 10 at the Duke's 48.
Well, and also for Mitchell, the record he broke was his own.
Yes, it was. He set it last season.
Now he has the top 2 receiving seasons in Robert Morris history.
Prather, for the 3rd time today, has trouble with the shotgun snap, but he's able to fall on it. In fact, he hasn't turned it over via fumble yet this afternoon, but this is going to cost Robert Morris about 7 yards.
You know, and the ball's a little bit off to the right, but certainly one that should be catchable, and Prather just not adjusting to some of these errant snaps.
Call it 2nd and 17. Looked like there may have been movement along that offensive front that drew the Dukes.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 52 offense, 5-yard pounding, 2nd down.
That's Anthony Lucian. 10 penalties for 75 yards against Robert Morris.
Yeah, again, out of character for Robert Morris, a team that's pretty much really disciplined, kind of in the image of their head coach, John Banaszak, who is a hard-nosed, disciplined type of a guy, but today they're not playing that way.
Prather 10 of 22 for 103 yards. On 2nd down and 22, they go back to fullback Forrest Barnes. Grinds out a few. Hey, you get a look at Ratsukinas with the ball, but no turnover here. 3rd and long for the Dukes. Barnes now with 7 carries for 18 yards. Again, it's been a tough go for the Colonials offense. On 3rd and 19, Prather, long down the right sideline. The jump ball is out of bounds, intended for Santofonte. And coverage back there by Devin Williams. So it's 4th down as the Colonials will be forced to punt. We are told that Bryant has just scored a touchdown on a hook and ladder play. So they have taken a 19-16 lead over Wagner midway through the 4th quarter, pending the extra point.
Exciting football. We know Bryant is one of those teams who will pull out all kinds of gadget plays. They're not adverse to it. And right there, one of the classic gadget plays, a hook and lateral.
And there's the punt by Lamancusa. Rahming calls for the fair catch. And then it takes a Robert Morris bounce. Oh, how fortuitous is this, Scott? Duquesne with its worst field position of the day back at its own 8-yard line. With 3:13 to go in the 3rd quarter, Duquesne is up 17-0, but they've got a long way to go. Back here in Pittsburgh, late in the 3rd quarter, Duquesne with the ball at a 17-0 lead. Now, meanwhile, up in Rhode Island, Bryant on a hook and ladder touchdown pass to Ricardo McCray. Well, believe it or not, actually a touchdown flip. It's a 20-16 Bryant lead with 7:17 to go. They have scored 20 consecutive points, and the Bulldogs are staring at a possible at-large NCAA bid with a win today. Would be huge for the conference. Would be only the first time in NEC history that they have sent 2 teams to the NCAA playoffs. Michael Lopresti at quarterback gives to Rafiq Douglas, and he's hammered in the backfield. Number 53, Zach Zamiska, and also number 19, Ryan Richards in on the hit. This Colonials defense has done a very admirable job, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, they've been on the field a lot. You would think they'd be getting tired, but they're playing with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy, made a couple of plays, and right now they need a couple of big plays here in order to give their offense a little bit of field position, because as we've seen, it's not an offense that can go the length of the field. It's an offense that needs a short field to play on if they're going to have a chance to score.
2nd down and 13, motion by Rahming. Lopresti back in his own end zone. Hands it off again, and looks like Douglas is going to be able to fight his way forward back to the original line of scrimmage, maybe a yard shy. It's 2nd down and a long 10.5 for the Dukes. And the key here is ball security. The last thing in the world the Dukes want to do is turn it over.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it'd be interesting to see right now what the mindset is. You know, do you kind of put the ball in Lopresti's hands to try to make a play down the field, or do you just try to take some more time off the clock, and let your punter get out there and let your defense play with a little bit better field position?
Yeah, whether it's been Dill or Crimmins, they've actually punted the ball fairly well today. Antoine Eddy has not burned them in the kick return game. 3rd down and a long 10. Lopresti off the quarterback option, up the middle. He's going to be shot. Gets out to the 15-yard line. How to get to about the 18.5. And so it's 4th down, and the Dukes will be forced to punt. Coming up on 1:20 left in the 3rd quarter.
There's Owatafi right there. He's the guy who made the play. Good effort by him, because Lepresti did break a couple of tackles as he came through the line in that quarterback draw. Owatafi made the tackle, holding him short of that 1st down.
Patrick Dill by his own goal line, and Antoine Eddy lining up on the Duke side of the field. Dill with a running punt. It's a line drive. Eddy has to go back into Colonial's territory, touches the ball on the hop, and then it is recovered by one of the Dukes down the right sideline. Wayne Capers comes up with the special teams turnover as Antoine Eddy misplayed the football.
Yeah, what a huge mistake by Eddy that time. Instead of coming up to catch it on the fly, you see him, he backs up here and then tries to scoop it up here.
Rolling on the field was the punt, was muffed by the Robert Morris player, recovered by Duquesne. By rule, the Duquesne player is not permitted to advance the ball. 1st and 10, Duquesne in the spot of recovery.
No, just a huge mistake there. That's not only a mistake in the way of a turnover, but just look at the field position as Duquesne was backed up inside their own 10-yard line. Now they have the ball out at midfield, actually on the Robert Morris side at the Robert Morris 46.
With 49.4 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, and Duquesne holding a 17-0 lead. They are in complete control. Tight end Kevin Enright was in motion. Here comes the pressure on the run blitz. Rafiq Douglas tries to pick his way through a hole on the right side. Gains perhaps a yard. One official says he's at the 45. The other wants to spot it at the 44. Douglas, 8 carries now for 19 yards. Gain of 2. It's 2nd down and 8. That will bring us under the 30-second mark. And so the Dukes will probably snap it one more time.
I think they're going to just run out the quarter.
They certainly had an opportunity to line up and snap it, but they will allow the 3rd quarter to expire. And so Mike Lepresti, standing over here by the near hash marks, takes a walk over to the bench. That'll do it. 3 quarters in the books.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter.
With a 17-0 lead over Robert Morris. It's the Battle of the Bird. The Steel City Showdown. The tussle with some muscle. Duquesne's in control. Paul Dottino and John Schmelk and Scott Bruner back in Pittsburgh. We start the 4th quarter with Duquesne leading Robert Morris 17-0. Let's go downstairs to John.
Well, thanks, Paul. Duquesne is one of the few schools in the nation that actually gives you off the entire week before Thanksgiving. So after classes on Friday, they basically sent all the students home. Now, that's a lot of turkey. Any chance we can make those type of requests from our jobs guys during the week? I would love to have a week of just turkey and gravy and mashed potatoes. That sounds pretty good to me. What do you think?
How about sending some corn up this way, John?
Pumpkin pie, maybe? I'll take it.
Let's get a look at Michael Lopresti's 2 touchdown passes today, Scott.
Yeah, you know, he started early on the first drive. They got the ball, little fade to no Aduho into the corner of the end zone, and very similar throw. This time to Chavis Rollins. Great one-handed grab, 2 touchdowns, 17-0 lead for Duquesne.
Lopresti 7 of 12 for 117 yards, the 2 scores and 1 interceptions. Also run the ball 12 times for 45. Here is a completion to Dave Thomas on 2nd down and 8 from the 43 of Robert Morris. Thomas brings it down to the 41. It'll be 3rd down and 5. On 4th and 1, Wagner was at the Bryant 27 up in Rhode Island, and Bryant stopped them with 4:25 to play, and the Bulldogs on top 20-16.
Yeah, that's no surprise. We know Bryant has one of the top run defenses in the country.
Yeah, Jeff Kovitz was probably in on that tackle. On 3rd and 5, Lopresti, long downfield, penalty marker near sideline. Pass goes incomplete for Ramen. We'll have to check out the infraction. And once again, if you joined us late, Chris King, one of the nation's leading receivers, not playing today for the Dukes because of a knee injury.
Offside, 58 defense, 5-yard penalty, result 1st down.
Linebacker Jake Tack called for the penalty. 11th flag for 80 yards against Robert Morris.
It's going to be another 1st down as well. So Robert Morris really shooting themselves in the foot here today and giving Duquesne all kinds of extra opportunities.
Get a look at Coach John Banaszak in his first year at the controls. Remember Joe Walton retired at the end of last season. Had been the only head coach in the history of the program. Here is the give to Rafiq Douglas inside the 30.
And now we're starting to see the effects of that defense being on the field for so long. That play, I mean, that Duquesne offensive line just completely drove the Robert Morris defensive line back into the second half.
11 yards for Douglas. 1st down from the 26. Douglas gets the call again and fights his way forward against that tired D. Down near the 22. Gain of 4. Douglas now 10 carries for 33 yards.
He's the kind of guy you want pounded in there. He's a big, strong kid. He's got some speed, but he's powerful between the tackles.
2nd and 6 for Lopresti. Again, Douglas in his backfield. That is Randy Morris, number 34, who is checked in. He's on the right shoulder of Lopresti. Here comes the blitz, and they snip it out and do a nice job. That's number 32, linebacker Zach Cooper, who broke up the play as Douglas takes it down inside the 21. Gain of only about a yard.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Robert Morris just unleash the dogs here, trying to pull out all their tricks, trying to run all their games and their blitzes. And you saw Cooper coming off the edge from his linebacker position that time, making the play.
3rd and 5. And a timeout by the Colonials. They didn't like what they saw. They'll have 1 timeout remaining. With 12:49 to play, what's going on up in Rhode Island, Scott? With 2:40 to go, Wagner has the ball at the Seahawks' own 39. And it is still 20-16 Bryant. And again, the Bulldogs, who just a couple of weeks ago were ranked number 21 in the country, still looking for potential at-large bid with a victory today. Again, the selection show is at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning Eastern Time on ESPNU. Well, the Bulldogs simply need to hold on. That's all they need to do, Scott. Right now, that defense has to do its job. They're one of the best in the country, and we'll see if they can do it. Hold on and maybe get that at-large bid. Fordham, a top 10 team. We know how Sacred Heart gave them a real whale of a time last year in the NCAA playoffs. William & Mary, another fine program. Youngstown State. And Sacred Heart, currently number 25 in the FCS coaches poll. They've already clinched the NEC championship and the NCAA bid. The NEC trying to send a second team to the playoffs. Lepresti goes end zone, incomplete. It was broken up. Nice play by that defensive back. Was that David Taylor? Yes, number 21. Let's get a look at it again.
You know, similar play again. 21 Taylor going up strong, trying to make the play there against number 3 Rawlings, who had a touchdown catch earlier in the game.
Yeah, of 12 yards in the third quarter. Here's Austin Crimmins. Has already hit today from 23, so he is 12 of 19 on the season. This would be a 38-yard attempt. The angle is left, and Lepresti, the quarterback, is the holder. The spot, the kick, and it is good. So from 38 yards, Crimmins has his second field goal of the day, and Duquesne has a 20-0 lead over Robert Morris. Back with more from Pittsburgh after this. Back here in Pittsburgh, Paul Dottino, Scott Bruner, and John Schmelk, where we have 12:38 to play. And Duquesne is taking control of this one. A 20-0 lead over Robert Morris. You see Austin Crimmins, who has 2 field goals today. Don't forget, you can now follow your favorite team on NEC Front Row, the official online digital network of the Northeast Conference, with one-click access to live HD webcasts, highlight packages, coaches' shows, full game archives, and interactive social media components. This state-of-the-art site is your one-stop shop for everything NEC. Best of all, NEC Front Row content is free. Whether at home or viewing on your mobile device, enjoy the best seat in the house at necfrontrow.com. Well, one thing's for sure, if Duquesne holds on, this rivalry will take on a whole new look from the Colonials' perspective, because they're not going to be very happy next year when they play Duquesne.
That's the nature of these intense rivalries.
It's one of the up men. That would be number 34 for Robert Morris. Corey Gary, junior tight end out of McDonald, Pennsylvania. And so, the Colonials will put the ball in play, first down, from their own 28-yard line with 12:30 to go. Marcus Prather, number 15, coming out at quarterback. Back to throw, getting pressured, eludes the sack, and then does a good job to throw it away. Jake Radzukinas was the one who almost brought him down by his shoelaces.
Just once again, you know, Prather just can't pull the trigger. And wow, what a surprise there! Wagner comes back, scores again, makes it 23-20.
Brandon Peoples with a 3-yard touchdown, and Wagner is on top with 44 seconds to play, 23-20. Incomplete pass by Prather. So it's now 3rd and 10 for the Colonials from their own 28. Now, if Wagner holds on, they will be the co-NEC champions. However, Sacred Heart already has the NCAA bid, and it's probably unlikely that Wagner has enough on its resume to qualify for an NCAA playoff spot.
How about Bryant possibly losing the last 2 games of the year inside the final minute?
And a sack by that Colonials defense, and that's a great reward for a very hard days of work. Let's get a look again. Check it, the Duquesne D.
Duquesne's coming in there on a blitz. They got 5 guys coming. You see Martello coming off the edge. Just not enough people to block. And therein lies the conundrum for Robert Morris. You know, it's hard for them in pass protection to match up with people, and so they can't send out enough receivers to really threaten the defensive secondary.
For Martello, his 2nd sack of the season. Both defenses have played extremely well today. The Colonials D trying to keep this team in it. And, of course, the Dukes D, I think they're looking for the shutout right now. There's the kick by Alamin Kusa, fielded by number 82 for Duquesne. Bobby Gustine, sophomore wide receiver. He's out of Pittsburgh. And so it's 1st down for the Dukes at the Robert Morris 47 with 11:29 to play.
You know, these kids are all out of Pittsburgh. You know, they probably played street ball against each other, you know. I mean, when I was a kid, it was our street against your street. You know, and
exactly.
That's how you paired up, and you know that's what it is now. The streets have just become our school against your school at the collegiate level.
Well, Presti at quarterback has already thrown 2 touchdown passes today. Also run 12 times for 45 yards. Linebacker Jake Tack with the tackle on Marcus Hughes. This series, by the way, in case you're wondering, we've been talking about the rivalry. Duquesne leads it 8-7 because for many, many, many years they didn't play each other. And it's 8-7 in favor of the Dukes coming into today. They've alternated wins and losses over the past 6 meetings. Last year, the Dukes held on 21-20 thanks to a missed extra point in the final minutes. This one not so close. On 2nd down and 11. Here is Hughes again. They're trying to rip the ball out. That was number 32 linebacker Zach Cooper, who got a hand on the pigskin, but Hughes, Hughes would not relent. There is a penalty marker on the play with 10:49 to go.
That's usually in that area of holding.
Hughes 7 carries for 28 yards.
Holding, 55 offense, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Andrew Keenan, the official today, giving us the call. Duquesne has run for 160 yards as a team and held Robert Morris to only 22 on the ground. Duquesne has been dominant at Rooney Field, 88-26. This year, 4-2. 2nd and 17 after the flag. Motion by Capers. He was going to take the handoff on the end around, but false start.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 62 offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
Right tackle Larson Graham. 8th penalty for 80 yards against Duquesne. That's probably about the only thing they've done wrong today. Too many penalties.
Yeah. Well, both sides. A lot of penalties today.
2nd and 23 for the Dukes from their own 40. Motion by Rawlins. Deep drop for Lopresti, rolls, and then they tried to set up the screen. They wanted Marcus Hughes.
Marcus Hughes kind of drifting out there, but left defensive end, Forrest Mason, number 90, read it perfectly, got right out there in front of Hughes and forced Lopresti just to throw that one away.
So it's 3rd and 23. Mason limited by injury to only 5 games this season, but he has been a horse for this program over his 4-year career. Presti with the look back. Offensive coordinator Gary Dunn with the signals. Ball spotted at Duquesne 40. 3-man rush by the Colonials. Hands it off to Marcus Hughes. A little bit of room there, finds the crease into Colonials territory, spilled at the 49, but it's going to bring up a 4th and 12. Hughes picks up 11, 9 carries for 42 yards. Believe it or not, Lopresti is the leading rusher today for both teams. 12
and
for
you look
45.
at this, everybody thinks that Duquesne's going to punt it, but they leave the offense on the field. And
this will be a 30-second timeout.
Robert Morris got caught in a personnel exchange mishap, so they had to call a timeout.
They have one remaining with 9:36 to play. Leading rusher is actually Ryan Ho, as we get the correct scoreboard posting on our electronic device here in the press box. 9 carries for 51 yards. Lopresti 45 yards on 12 carries. Marcus Hughes, 9 rushes for 42. Rafiq Douglas, 11 carries for 35. Your typical balanced ground attack from the Duquesne Dukes, as they have been all season long.
That's Robert Morris' second charge timeout of the half.
They'll have one timeout remaining. Interesting, Devin Romming with only 1 catch for 25 yards today. That gives him 70 for the season. That would leave him 2 shy of the Dukes' all-time single-season reception record of 72. I don't know that the Dukes really want to throw the ball anymore today with a 20-0 lead early in the 4th quarter, but that Romming number is staring them in the face, as he'd loved, I'm sure, to catch the record. Antoine Eddy, who muffed a punt earlier, lets this one roll all the way down to the Robert Morris 1. It is a 48-yard kick with no return. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah. You know, the senior punt returner has just made some really bad decisions so far today. You know, muffing the punt before, this one not catching it when he had an opportunity, and it just makes his offense pay the price with poor field position.
Outstanding job by Austin Crimmins. With 9:25 to go, Duquesne is in control. Northeast Conference football is brought to you by Choice Hotels International, the official hotel partner of the NEC. Paul Dottino, Scott Bruner, and John Schmelk in Pittsburgh, where we have 9:25 to play, and Duquesne leads Robert Morris 20-0, and it is over in Rhode Island. The Bryant Bulldogs have fallen to the Wagner Seahawks 23-20. That pretty much ends Bryant's hopes of gaining an at-large NCAA playoff bid. But the Seahawks are now the co-champions, and could this be a safety? Could it be? Did the Dukes get the 2 points on defense? They have!
All the plays to safety.
Austin Whalen, number 29. Linebacker Nathan Stone, number 54, led the charge.
Yeah, you're going to see
Sam
right there.
Martello, number 48, also involved.
Yeah, just clearly a safety.
And Duquesne jumps on top 22-0. To finish my thought about the game up in Rhode Island, Walt Hamline, the Seahawks coach, co-champions with Sacred Heart, although the Pioneers gained the automatic NCAA bid. But for Coach Hamline, the legendary coach with over 200 career victories, his second NEC title, or at least a part of one, in the last 3 seasons. So the Seahawks, who came out of nowhere this year, wind up taking a piece of the trophy home. But it will be the Sacred Heart Pioneers going to the NCAA playoffs to represent the Northeast Conference. And you can find out exactly where they will be seated tomorrow at 11 o'clock on ESPNU. It's the NCAA Playoff Selection Show for FCS football, a 1-hour program, and we'll see where the Pioneers will have to go for the first round of the playoffs. And there you go. How tight is this conference, Scott?
Yeah.
We just can't come up with one winner.
Yeah, 5 years in a row, co-champions. You see right there, Duquesne in the mix a couple of times, Sacred Heart in the mix the last 2 years, and obviously Albany, before they defected to the Colonial Athletic Conference, they were a back-to-back champs in 11 and 12.
I remember Coach Bob Ford, a legend up there in New York State, now retired. Great guy. 9:15 to play here. And Duquesne trying to wrap things up off of a 22-0 victory. Off the kickoff, this is Rumming, an all-purpose yardage monster. Returns that one about 25 yards out near midfield. And so the Dukes have the ball once again. Officially, Sam Martello is credited with the safety, by the way. This Duquesne's defense now in position to claim the shutout. And they want it.
Oh, yeah. And Sam Martello, what a day he's had. Right from the beginning, got that quick early interception, taking the ball down the field and inside the 5-yard line and giving his offense the opportunity to put the first score on the board. Great, as far as playing his position in the middle of the field, making tackles all over the place, and then capping it off on that last drive with a tackle for a safety.
1st and 10 for the Dukes from their 47. Martello, by the way, 9 tackles with a sack, an interception, and as you said, the safety. There's Rumming along the left sideline, run out of bounds, right at the sticks. I think that's going to be good enough for a Duquesne first down.
Don't be surprised to see a couple more of those. Trying to get that young man that record.
Well, Rumming catches his 2nd ball of the day. That gives him 71 receptions. He's now 1 short of the Dukes' single-season reception mark.
Right, that would tie him. 1 more, right?
Needs 1 more.
Needs
72.
2 more to take the record.
72 the record. 71 for Rumming. Lepresti wants Rumming. Can't find him. David Taylor in coverage. The ball just a tad overthrown.
And that's one of those throws you can see a more experienced quarterback on that one. He would put a little more air underneath it, let his receiver go down there and make a play on the ball. Lepresti just trying to drill it in there, showing his arm strength, but a little bit of his inexperience as well.
Jeremy Conley caught 72 passes for the Dukes in 2002. Quite a long time ago. Second down and 10 from the Robert Morris 43. Ryan Ho is the lone setback. Dave Thomas on the wide receiver screen. Sniffed out by Robert Morris. Zach Cooper was the first one there, and then a couple of teammates kind of helped him finish it off. It'll be 3rd and 7 after a 3-yard gain. Presti now 10 of 18 for 133 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Presti takes a look again to the near sideline, taking his time, and why shouldn't he? Coming up on 8 minutes to go, the Dukes are on top 22-0. Looking to snap a 3-game losing streak, and also that would give them a 500 record for the season. They came in at 5-6. On the keeper. Down to the 36-yard line. Number 92, Ryan Lewis, has had a very busy day for Robert Morris.
And going for it on 4th down.
That's 7 tackles, including a sack for the defensive lineman. 4th and 3 for Duquesne. Presti 13 carries for 49 yards. "12 seconds left on the play clock. If you're joining us late, Lepresti has thrown 2 touchdown passes. It was a 10-0 Duquesne halftime lead, and they have methodically built on that. Austin Crimmins has kicked a couple of field goals. Lepresti tucks it away, has some traffic in front of him, and he will turn it over on downs. There's number 92, Ryan Lewis, in the middle of it again. Forrest Mason, number 90, also in the scrum. And again, I do give credit to this Colonials defense. They have played hard. And they forced a turnover right here on downs. And so Robert Morris takes over. 1st and 10 from its own 38. Get a look at Coach Jerry Schmidt of the Duquesne Dukes. And quarterback Michael Lepresti. Marcus Prather keeping it around the left side, throws and completes to Nick Lamica. Steps out of bounds at the 48. It's good enough for a Robert Morris 1st down. Jerry Schmidt looked a little disgusted on the sidelines. Thought his Dukes defense gave up that 1st down a little too easily.
I think he'd rather give up some short passes like that rather than a big one down the field.
Well, LaMonica, his 2nd catch for 12 yards today. There's Eric Main rumbling up the middle. He's a powerhouse to the 47 of the Dukes. That's a 5-yard gain, 2nd and 5. Prather, by the way, is 11 of 26 for 114 yards, no picks. And, of course, no touchdowns on the short end of a 22-0 score. Prather rolls, fires, hits Santofanti. Good enough for Colonial's 1st down inside the 36-yard line.
And once again, you can see this Duquesne defense kind of playing soft, playing off a little bit, just want to keeping everything in front of him. And Prather doing what he does best, gets out of the pocket, throws nicely on the run.
Motion by Mitchell. Prather gets whacked as he unloads. And it's intercepted in the end zone by Devin Williams. That is his 2nd pick of the season. Prather took a shot.
Yeah, he's talking to the official, too. I think the official's checking to see if he knows where he is, because Prather's taking some big hits today. First play of the game, he got whacked. And you see here, just kind of throwing it up there. And Williams playing great defense, not, as we said, not letting anybody get behind him. And Lamica can't get to the ball, and Williams makes a grab in the end zone.
3rd turnover created by this Duquesne defense today. Martello picked off Brumbaugh in the early moments of the game. There was also a fumble by the Colonials. So a 3-to-1 turnover ratio in favor of the Dukes. And with 5:57 to go, they put their offense back on the field with a 22-0 edge. Ryan Ho tries the right side. and runs into number 11, Mike Stokovic. Stokovic, a senior out of Katy, Texas. He's had a pretty good career. 75 tackles coming into today's game. Second leading stopper on this Colonials D. 2nd and 10, no gain. Ho's a senior. Hughes is a senior. Douglas a freshman among the running backs who have carried the ball today for the Dukes. Under 5.5 minutes to play. They're just looking to grind the clock out. You got Wayne Capers now in that Wildcat, Scott. And he'll take it around the right side.
Oh, he almost came out the other side of that one.
Yeah, Forrest Mason trying to bring him down, but Capers just slipped through until number 58, Jay Tack, was able to bring him to the turf. Let's go downstairs to John Schmelk.
Yeah, guys, we've seen Wayne Capers do it on offense. We've seen him do it on special teams. He's a transfer from Arizona. He's a great athlete, and he's really this team's special teams ace. But now we've seen him do in this game what we saw him do in the game we broadcasted earlier this year. He's been a running back. He's been a wide receiver. That time a Wildcat quarterback. We've seen him throw the ball out of those formations. So Wayne Capers is really the Mr. Do-It-All and Mr. Gadget for this Duquesne team.
That he is. 4 carries for 16 yards today, John. Also 1 catch for 34. 3rd and 1 from the 29. Ryan Ho running very hard and gains the first down. Ryan Richards on the head, and he's a bit slow getting up.
Yeah, Ho, you know, he runs low to the ground, low center of gravity there, only 5'7", but he runs with some power. At 190 pounds on that 5'7" frame gives him some leverage when he gets down underneath you, and Richards felt the brunt of that one on that tackle.
Out-of-town scoreboard, Pete Russamondo, the Central Connecticut State coach, gets his first Northeast Conference victory in his first season. A 22-17 final over the Red Flash. The resurgent Red Flash. Boy, they've had a really good bounce-back season. Carry around the right side and tripped up by his ankles. And I mean by his ankles because there was a lot of daylight there for Drew Allen. Check that. Gene Bay, Omi Bay, O-M-E-B-E-Y, Omi Bay.
I think it's Oren Bay, O-R-N-E. But we have a very small roster card here.
Oh, my goodness. That's like agate type on the horse racing form. And we don't have any lights in here, I might add, too. It's a little dark. But in any event, second and three, and Bay gets it again and gobbled up. Zach Cooper, number 32. First down for the Dukes. Under 3 minutes to play. Duquesne has now run the ball for over 200 yards today.
And Oren Bay, you know, he's a graduate student.
Yep.
You know, played defensive back most of the year, but he's a local guy here out of Monroeville, Pennsylvania. And, you know, you got to
give him his due.
You know, he's come out here, he's played hard, he's in grad school, and give him a few carries and let him remember this day, his last game of college football.
That's a cool thing. Oren Bay. He is number 16 in red. He gets the call again. And stopped up back at the 44. Loss of about 4. Coming up on 2 minutes to go. 22-0 Duquesne on top. They will improve to 6-6 on the season. It's Ryan Richards, number 19, who had the tackle. That'll snap a 3-game losing streak. You know, Duquesne was expected to be one of the top clubs in the league this year, and quarterback Dylan Beekle missed 4.5 games because of injury, various injuries, ribs, shoulders, a concussion. It's a kid who threw for over 2,000 yards in his limited time this season. He's only a sophomore, but was expected to lead this team into a playoff fight.
You know, just as an example, the first 8 games when Dylan Beekle played,
this will be a 30-second timeout.
Duquesne averaged right near 300 yards a game in passing. The last 4 games, they've averaged under 180 yards.
We got a timeout with 1:37 to go Duquesne in complete control. It's Northeast Conference football on ESPN 3. 1:37 to go. Duquesne holding on to a 22-0 lead. It's time for our WB Mason play of the game.
Yeah, well, when you need somebody to deliver, you look for a quarterback. Michael Lepresti to Noel Oduho in the corner, and then Lepresti again finds number 3. Chavez Rollins with a one-handed grab for the score. Those two guys know how to deliver.
WB Mason Office Furniture and Supplies. You can't go wrong when you buy right at WB Mason. Lepresti on the day. 10 of 18 for 133 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Also ran it 14 times for 48 yards. Here he's going to give the ball off, and Orrin Bay stopped up. Number 56, Austin Turkovich, was in on the hit. And I don't know, it just seems to me that whenever a defensive player puts on a number 56 jersey, he's got to have a little extra feeling of it.
You think?
I just think.
Why is that?
I don't know, something about that 56. It just,
come on, you're in Pittsburgh now. You're not in New York anymore.
It's still 56. I think that number echoes throughout the country.
I think it's 58 here in Pittsburgh, isn't it? Wasn't that Jack Lambert?
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Under a minute to go. 22-0. Duquesne on top as they try to run the clock out.
Duquesne, it's their second timeout. This will be a 30-second timeout.
It's 3rd and 15. Yeah, Lamar Woodley was 56 out here, right? He was pretty good for a while. Of course, he was no Lawrence Taylor, but that's another story. Nobody was.
He was a Jack Lambert?
Jack Lambert set the bar in the 70s for middle linebackers. Right after the 60s, Dick Butkus had done it. And, of course, Harry Carson continued that tradition of great middle linebackers, and Mike Singletary out in Chicago, and then Ray Lewis with the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, I'm shocked at you. I don't even know if Lambert was the best linebacker on that team. I mean, Jack Ham was as good as there was.
Jack Ham, an outstanding outside backer. 50.4 seconds to go.
Maybe we should ask that guy who the best linebacker was, right? John Banaszak. He could probably give us some stories. There he is.
Hey, John. John, a defensive lineman in his day with 3 Super Bowl rings from the Pittsburgh Steelers. 50 seconds to play. We're going to run it out here with Michael Lepresti on 3rd and 15. We're being told by the truck that John Banaszak wore number 76 as a D lineman, so he still had a 6 on his jersey. You know he's partial. In the meantime, there's the carry, and that may just do it. They don't have to snap the ball again. Duquesne can just stand around and congratulate themselves on improving to 6-6 as they end the season at 500. John Banaszak across the field for Robert Morris. they come up short in the Steel City Showdown as Duquesne will walk out of here with a 22-0 victory. We did see a lot of hard hits, Scott. We knew the rivalry would add some juice to the ball game, and it did. But as we count it down with now 5 seconds to play, it is Duquesne 22 and Robert Morris nothing. You can book it. The Dukes win this edition of the Steel City rivalry. We'll be back with the wrap-up after this. Back in Pittsburgh, where Duquesne has defeated Robert Morris 22-0. It was Michael Lepresti who threw 2 touchdown passes. Terrific game by the young quarterback as he was able to manage things very well for that Dukes offense, and then defensively they were suffocating against Robert Morris's O. Scott. You can't say enough about how well they did, also getting a safety there by Sam Martello late in the second half.
Yeah, Sam Martello really had a great game, wonderful effort. And, he really got it all started with that interception on Robert Morris's first possession of the game, taking it down in there close. That got Duquesne up early and really put the pressure on what turned out to be a understaffed Robert Morris offense.
How true. Let's get a look at the final Northeast Conference standings. And with Wagner's win today over Bryant, they share the NEC championship. That's Coach Walt Hamline picking up his second part of an NEC championship in the last 3 years, but it will be the Pioneers who represent the Northeast Conference in the NCAA playoffs. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPNU is the NCAA playoffs seeding show. It'll be a 1-hour program to determine where the Pioneers will go in the first round of the playoffs. The Bryant Bulldogs, for a lot of the year, they were in the top 25 in the poll, but they just kind of fell apart at the very, very end.
Yeah, I mean, one of the key ingredients to being a championship team is that special teams, and they really fell short in the kicking game. Last week we saw them play against Sacred Heart. A couple field goals got blocked, and today they had a missed extra point. So the kicking game really played a big part of them not getting to the NCAA tournament this year.
Well, that finishes the battle for the Steel City Showdown. And, we told you that coming in, Duquesne only had an 8-7 lead all time. It is now a 9-7 all-time lead for the Dukes. The Choice Hotels player of the game is linebacker Sam Martello. He had a pick and a safety for the Dukes. He's standing by with John Schmelk.
That's right, Paul. And Sam, let's take us to the big plays first. What happened on the pick and what happened on the safety on those 2 plays?
Well, I was just doing my job, dropping in my zone. He kind of threw it right to me, but I wish I was faster. I could get to the end zone, but it was a good play all around. I'm just happy with how we won.
How about the safety?
It's doing my job again. I mean, our coaching staff's great. I love these guys. I wish we could play another game this season, but, man, it's fun. It was a good way to go out.
Well, it was a disappointing year, but how important was it for you and your team to get a win at home on Senior Day?
It's great for the seniors and then to take this into next season for all the young guys to see what winning feels like, so we can carry that in the offseason and really improve on it.
Now, you guys lost 2 of your big-time players at inside linebacker before they, but you and Nathan Stetton did a great job the whole year. How valuable was this experience for you this year to have the opportunity to step up like you did?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of adversity. I mean, you build character through adversity, and Nate has done awesome. He's leading our team in tackles, and Anthony Alimenti, number 44, those guys. I mean, you got to love it, how they just prepare and work their butts off just to be in this point. So
it sounds like you and your team and your coach are very excited about what this team could do when you're healthy next season.
Exactly. I mean, we get couple guys back, and just carry it forward to next year. I'm real excited about next year.
Sam, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Paul, back to you.
We are back in Pittsburgh. Again, 22-0 Duquesne knocks off Robert Morris. For Scott Bruder and John Schmelk, I'm Paul Bettino saying so long from the Steel City. Well, again, our final score is Duquesne 22 and Robert Morris nothing. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games in our family of ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. We thank everybody for watching Northeast Conference football this season. We'll be back again next year. This has been a presentation of ESPN.